Thanks for listening to the Von Haessler Doctrine podcast. Remember, you can hear the show every weekday from 9 to noon right here on 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. Live from Sherwood Forest in the heart of Atlanta, Georgia, Hour 1 of the Von Haessler Doctrine begins right now. I am your lovable, huggable, mid-morning chat host, Eric Von Haessler. Surrounded by the Doctrinaires, Tim Andrews is here, Autumn Fisher, and of course, the lovely Jared Yamamoto.
Good morning, Eric.
Good morning to you. Are you drunk, hungover, or your whole Music Midtown weekend? How did that work out?
I was relatively...
What kind of producer do I have this morning? That's what I want to know.
I was relatively responsible last night, so I'd say you probably have 80% of a producer.
You sound
today.
kind of stuffed up a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. The ragweed is getting me right now.
Yeah. As well. Remove the rag. And you've got the culprit. I want to say, before we get going, Tim Andrews and I witnessed something absolutely wonderful at the Fox Theater on Friday. My friend Kevin Kinney being the lead singer for R.E.M., Bill Berry on drums, Mike Mills,
that was
Peter
pretty amazing.
Buck. Absolutely amazing. The whole night was amazing. And afterwards, I got to meet Michelle Malone. What a wonderful person she is. But before the thing started, I got to do a shout out here. I was out by Will Call in front of the Fox Theater. And officer, I believe Officer Bourne, please don't punch me if I'm wrong, walked up, introduced himself. Zone 6, APD, said everybody listens to the Von Haessler Doctrine all the time. Super nice guy. And I just wanted to do a shout out to Zone 6. That was the beginning of just an amazing musical evening that, by the way, I found out that Jared Yamamoto's wonderful girlfriend walked out of about 45 minutes into the it doesn't surprise me.
She was being led by her friends in her defense.
I don't think your generation is able to respond to the kind of musical greatness we saw on Friday night. But hey, everyone had fun. That's what matters. Zone 6, all you officers are awesome. Let's get this one going.
Headlines for Monday, September 16th.
All right. What do you got?
In a thriller, the Falcons won 24-20 over the Eagles last night on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, I saw most of it. I had to go to sleep at the beginning of the fourth quarter or so. I saw a little bit of the fourth quarter, but it was starting to get a little bit too late for this old man. So I played one, went to sleep. But Matt Ryan threw a couple of interceptions that scared me. It seemed like there was nobody left playing for the Eagles by the time I went to bed.
Right.
I think we're going to find out Carson Wentz was hurt a lot more than he was letting on. I think he was toughing it out because he doesn't want to be known as the guy who can't stay upright for an entire season. I think we'll find out more this week. But, hey, good win. Good win. We're back. They didn't play like they did the week before, at least. You know, we saw a little something out of them.
Yeah, we almost found a way to cough it up. But I do want to say from Friday, my prediction, I predicted the Falcons would win by 3.
Yeah, you missed it.
And look at that. 4.
No, sorry, you missed it.
Not bad.
No, did they win by 3?
Hey, that's better than...
Close as only it was just horseshoes?
Hand grenades.
And hand grenades. That's it. I don't think this is either. I love the fact this is the way we are now. We brag about being close. Remember in America, you bragged about being number 1 or getting the job done. Now we brag about getting close. You said they'd win by 3. They won by 4. To me, that's abject failure.
Oh, they won your Falcons, did they?
Oh, is this drunk Irish guy? You in town still?
Oh, I'll be here. I've been here a whole week, and I've got another 5 to 6 days left before we stomp all over your dogs.
I don't think you're going to stop. The dogs are a 13-point favorite.
Oh, you think so, do you?
Well, I'm just telling you what they're saying in Vegas, a 13-point favorite.
You know what happens to favorites?
What happens to, like Conor McGregor?
Conor McGregor. He's a great man. He lost in a cheating fight. A cheating Russian.
You're still drinking? How long have you been drinking?
45 years. Hopefully 45 more. Let me tell you what, though. We would have beat those Falcons harder than anything ever happened to them in their lives. It would have been like the Super Bowl times 10. We let them get up by 30, 40 points, come back strong
appreciate
in the fourth quarter.
the Notre Dame fans coming into town and having fun. That's you're talking a big game there, pal.
Hey, listen, imagine if the Falcons ever played a real team,
What, like Notre Dame?
like Notre Dame, that's right. That's Notre Dame. Listen, we'll be in your bars all week till Saturday if you need us.
Yes, sir. I could smell you. I mean, how long have you been on Broad Street?
Hey, it's magically delicious.
All right, so that's a big game coming up I hear that's a big game.
Yeah.
This Saturday coming up, and we'll have it here on
Well,
W.
we're pretty tired out by what Arkansas State did to
Oh,
us.
for
so
heaven's sakes, yeah. Arkansas State, that was rough, huh?
I wish we had had a bye so we could recover from that.
Yeah, Kirby, you told us that they were a tough team. You're going to have, what do they win by, 90 points?
Something like that.
Well, they had us right there in the first 30 seconds of the game, but I figured if we came back and stomped them, and then we got a little worried in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, finally we got a real team to play. I think UGA's going to win, but it's the first real contest of the year. So
Relatively good weekend for Atlanta sports, though,
Yeah.
with the Braves clinching a playoff spot. UGA beating Arkansas State. That was a tough one.
yeah, it was a tough one.
West Georgia beating Limestone. And
nobody
then, of course,
Why'd
the
you throw
Falcons.
that in
Oh,
there?
because he's a wolf.
And then, of course,
He's a
the Falcons
wolf.
last night beating the Eagles.
How'd Georgia Southern do?
I'm not sure how
He
Georgia
doesn't
Southern-
care because he didn't
I know
go to
that Georgia
Southern.
State and Georgia Tech lost this weekend, though. So they.
Well, Georgia Tech is just they're not even hardly a program. They played Clemson, for God's sakes. Didn't they get killed like 42-2 or
it was
something?
awful.
No. Georgia Tech didn't play Clemson.
They played
Syracuse
Citadel.
They played Citadel.
Yes, and
they
Citadel.
lost to Citadel.
Yes.
Oh, for heaven's sakes. Wow. Well, it's rebuilding. It's rebuilding time.
That's right.
All right, give me the real headlines.
The
I don't listen to WSB to get the sports updates.
The U.S. is blaming Iran for the attack on that Saudi oil facility over the weekend.
And let me just guess. Iran is saying that they didn't do it.
Of course, yes.
This is, what do you have? What do you have? Any audio on that? No. Can I say, the people on the left, my leftist friends, I'm going to let you know something right now that it's going to be uncomfortable for you, but it's the absolute truth. Now, as we weigh in the U.S. whether or not we're going to respond to Iran, now they use the Houthi rebels, and it's a proxy war they've got going with Saudi Arabia. It's a proxy war kind of between us and the Iranians, but through Yemen and then through Saudi Arabia. And this was a big strike, hitting major oil refineries. It'll disrupt some of the world's supply for a bit. But this is what I put in the heads of my leftist friends, and I do have many leftist friends. If Trump decides not to retaliate, if we don't do what the Bush administration did in these kind of situations. Now, Trump himself doesn't like the foreign wars, doesn't like that kind of stuff, but this is a situation where Iran is doing this to provoke us. And what the people on the left should understand, the reality is, one of the main reasons, if we do not retaliate, if we do not go back in with missiles, one of the main reasons, one of the people that you should congratulate and thank for this are the frackers. Fracking in this country that the left hates so much has put America in the supply business of world oil and has also lifted the world supply to such a state that what used to be, if this would have happened at other times in American history, that would have been considered a major artery of our lifeline. And we, of course, have to answer that with some sort of attack. But if we don't attack, and if we continue a pretty solid peace vis-a-vis the United States and Iran, on the left, I'm telling you what you don't want to know, and the way things work these days, you will reject it out of hand without thinking about it. But that doesn't matter. 2 + 2 = 4, and the fact is, one of the main reasons, if we don't retaliate with missiles and bombs and get involved in another one of the main reasons we won't be doing that will be because of all the fracking that's gone on in this country in the last few years and has put us at the forefront of supply in the world and has elevated the supply of the world so that this isn't such a hit. If it's not such a hit, it doesn't affect you as a lifeline. If it doesn't affect you as a lifeline, you don't make the argument that it is you at national interest are at stake. Why aren't national interests at stake? because of fracking. Thank you. That's a gift from me to my friends on the left. I know you'll probably reject it, but again, 2 + 2 = 4, and what I just told you happens to be the truth. Next.
New York State is moving to ban flavored e-cigarettes by emergency order.
Oh, yeah. This is the latest. It's an epidemic. Every time this comes up, I must ask my friends at CNN and MSNBC. I've actually never met anybody at MSNBC. What happened to the Amazon rainforest? Don't I at least deserve a wrap-up story that tells me what happened to the Amazon rainforest? Because we're all off on vaping, man. That's our new epidemic because we have the attention span of a ferret, I guess. And so now the danger to me is vaping. It's an epidemic. But 2 weeks ago, the danger to me was that the lungs of the world were on fire. Now, I don't know if the lungs of the world have been put out, if they're still on fire. CNN just jumped off the story. They didn't even give me a wrap-up as to why we can now ignore this. When 2 weeks ago, well, my life was in jeopardy. That's what I was told. But I guess that's aside. And now my life is in jeopardy over vaping. And all I can say is what's next week. Do you have...
Maybe Andrew Cuomo, the governor.
Andrew Cuomo is a vapor.
He might be able to convince you.
He doesn't convince me. I've heard this audio, and there's something you're going to hear. It might be in the second piece of audio for Cuomo, but you can play them in a row, first then second. You want to talk about politicians. You want to talk about government. You want to talk about reasons for you listening to me right now to become a libertarian, at least in spirit. I'm not talking about the party. I'm talking about adopting a libertarian spirit for a smaller government. We'll get to it. Go to Cuomo.
I have tried every other device to stop smoking. I've tried everything. Nothing has worked except vaping. That is the only situation that logically justifies vaping.
And there you have it. Eric, why should I adopt a libertarian spirit? Host of your favorite radio show isn't telling you what party to be a part of. Eric, why should I adopt a libertarian spirit? Because there it is. That's Cuomo from New York State, the governor. He's got some power in his hands. And guess what he found out? What he found out is the only legitimate use of vaping turns out to be the one that was good for him as an individual. Aren't we lucky? Let's all just assume that he's right. Aren't we lucky that he prospered by that so that he could know? And what he also knows is anybody who uses vaping for anything else that doesn't go under that same umbrella as to why I enjoy vaping is wrong. This is government by fiat. This is the way I use vaping. It's good for me, therefore, and I'm a powerful governor of a large state. Therefore, I've decided that's the only legitimate use of vaping. And that is why you should adopt at this moment a libertarian spirit. Again, not the party necessarily, a libertarian spirit that says, why should government be as small as possible? So that you are not governed by the personal likes and dislikes of governors of large and powerful states. It's right there. He even mentions his favorite flavor.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Names like bubblegum, cotton candy, Captain Crunch, which was my favorite. These are obviously targeted to young people.
Except that you liked Captain Crunch and you're 50 whatever. I'm the governor of a large state, ladies and gentlemen. I do not necessarily have to make sense. I've done the polls. We've turned the dials. I'm just going to go blah, 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 and I'm going to push for the things that I think that you want, even if you don't need them, and even if it's just hysteria, much like the rainforest lungs of the world were on fire 2 weeks ago. We have the worst leaders in this country in my lifetime. Every one of them a coward. Oh, what's the big headline? Get on it. I like vaping. This is the governor's told you. I like vaping. It's the only thing that helped me get off cigarettes, which we know for a fact cause cancer in an awful lot of people. Not because of the nicotine, but all this other stuff, the carcinogens that are inside of the cigarette. And my favorite flavor as a 50-plus-year-old man is Captain Crunch. But obviously, it's targeted toward teenagers. What are you saying about the state of your own mind, Governor Cuomo? I am the governor of a large, powerful state. I don't necessarily have to make sense. All you care about is that I've turned the dials, I've licked my finger, I've put it to the wind, and I'll figure out a way to go in whatever direction I think you want me to until I think you want me to go into another direction. This is the story. If you're listening to me right now, you should adopt a libertarian spirit right now. Now, when you adopt a libertarian spirit, here's the downside. You're going to have to let other people live their lives the way they want to live their lives, so long as they don't break laws and pay their taxes. I know that might be a tough one for you. It might be a tough one for you that you can't do what the governor of New York did if you're a libertarian. See, what you can't do is say, well, everyone should be forced by law to live their lives the way that I live my life. See, if you're saying that from the right, you're saying the same thing that Governor Cuomo is saying from the left. So let's drop all that nonsense and adopt a good libertarian spirit.
Names like bubblegum, cotton candy, Captain Crunch, which was my favorite. These are obviously targeted to young people.
And I have the brain of a child, and that's why my favorite is Captain Crunch.
The Von Haessler Doctrine.
If you think there's a crisis at the border, spend a few minutes inside Eric's head. This is the Von Haessler Doctrine on 95.5 WSB.
Rick Ocasek died.
Yeah, it's sad.
75. The Cars, they were awesome. We'll play more of them throughout the day. Hey, stick around after 10 o'clock. Very early in the 10 o'clock hour, actually. Am I supposed to say that? I don't know how you're supposed to tease these things. Very early in the 10 o'clock hour. So you just listen early and then you can get the hell out, right? No, I'm not supposed to push it that way. I'm doing this all wrong. I'm going to call the name of a listener. If it's your name and you hear it, you have 9 minutes and 55 seconds to call back. And if you do, you get $500 in free gas. I can't call your name if you haven't registered. You got to go to WSBradio.com or on the WSB Radio app and sign up. Then listen for your name. I think all that football yesterday. I noticed this last week as well. This is the 100th. They're making a big deal. It's the 100th year of NFL. And one of the things they're doing around it is something called Journey to 100. Did you see? Huddle for 100. And I found this to be kind of, you talk about the low standards in this society. So the idea here is, in honor of its 100th season, I'm reading this right from a press release, the NFL is inviting fans to partner with them, the players, and the teams in Huddle for 100. Choose a cause, donate 100 minutes of your time, and help shape what your community will look like for the next 100 years. 100 minutes? Less than 2 hours?
I got time for that.
Are they talking about a week? No. Out of the whole season, they want less than 2 hours. So I did the Hurricane Dorian thing last week. That was an hour and a half. I guess I'm all in.
You're set, buddy.
I got nothing to
I
worry
like to
about.
spread my hour and a half over 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. It's
5
too
minutes
much.
a day.
It's
Yeah.
too much in one shot. I mean, how low are the standards? Look, we can't ask for much from Americans these days. Maybe 90 minutes. All right, tack on an extra 10. 100 minutes. Shorter than most feature films. Maybe we can get some people to respond. I shouldn't be surprised that the NFL is only asking us for 100 minutes of our lives toward charity. The standard for the NFL is very low. The other thing they were doing, they get their numbers mixed up. I saw in the 100 challenge, kids were wearing the Play 60 T-shirts. This is another thing from the NFL. Hey kids, play outside 60 minutes a week. I can't blame the NFL, but what the hell happened to the country? You couldn't keep us inside when I was a kid. Now you have to have a program from the NFL and have famous athletes beg our children, hey, can you go outside for 60 minutes?
There was nothing to do inside. Now there's everything to do inside.
Oh, come on. They have mobile devices. You can go outside and play video games.
Does dealing count?
What's that?
Does kneeling count? Because I
Sorry.
kneeled for 90 minutes
Colin,
yesterday.
sorry, Colin. The kneeling doesn't count.
That's something. I kneel for 90 minutes. My knee hurts.
You're not doing anything You keep going, brother, though. You're changing everything. Did you
I'm
see
gonna
that?
keep kneeling.
Didn't Colin Kaepernick win an Emmy?
Yeah, he won an Emmy. That Nike commercial won an Emmy.
Yeah, of course, because it was the greatest. It's not just because the Emmy people believe in his cause.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to make everybody else feel good.
Yeah.
I don't know what other commercials were up against that. I guess if they're with your cause, you win.
Yeah, Flo is pissed.
Yeah. Come on, those progressive commercials. What
They're
about
great.
that? What about that Geico lizard or whatever he
Yeah.
is? What is he?
It's his turn.
It's not a lizard.
It's a Geico
It's a
gecko.
Geico gecko.
That's right. I get it. Okay, I ain't so stupid. You know what I've noticed? We're going to go into a campaign trail mix here.
Yes.
You know what I've noticed is I'm from Western New York. No sports show could be bothered to mention Bills quarterback Josh Allen, even though he's had a couple of pretty good weeks and shown some flashes. But reporters are still showing up for Beto O'Rourke press conferences. I ask you, which one is more likely to still be around at the end of next year? Let's do this.
Hi, I'm Bernie Sanders. I'm running for president.
I'm going to run for president of the United States.
So I'm in this fight all the way.
I'm running to serve you as the next president of the United States of America.
This is a moment in time that I feel a sense of responsibility to stand up and fight.
They call me Mayor Pete, and I am running for president of the United States.
That's why today I'm announcing my candidacy for president of the United States.
When we start running, keep America great! Exclamation point.
Trail mix. Exclamation point.
I hope that you have a story, any story that has to do with the race for 2020 that has the words corn pop in it.
Oh, I have just a story
Corn Pop
for you.
was a bad dude.
He was, dude.
This just sounds like the beginning of one of those.
Bad Leroy Brown.
No, I like one of those noir thrillers from the 40s. Corn Pop was a bad dude. This is Joe Biden?
Yeah, this is a newly resurfaced video clip from 2017 where Biden is recounting this incident where he almost got in a fight with a guy named Corn
This
Pop.
is the early 60s. Now, this is from 2017. I don't remember this hitting the news at the time. It should have. This is from 2017. And yes, in fact, he was a lifeguard at this place. And he was there giving a speech because they were naming the pool after Joe Biden, which... that's about where he belongs as far as having his name on things.
I got pool named after me,
pool.
fella.
That's all right. He's not ready for bridges yet.
I'll take a pool. Where?
You start with pools that you used to work at. And so he does this all the time. He's the only person running in the primaries, Democrat side, that has African-American support. As a matter of fact, if he doesn't fall down and just literally bow out of this thing himself, he has South Carolina waiting. Are they third, I think?
Yes.
So he needs to win Iowa, I would think. He's going to lose New Hampshire because you got Sanders and Warren right from that area, unless they split the vote and he wins. But even if he has trouble in the beginning, he gets to South Carolina. He's got all that African-American support. So African-Americans are with Joe Biden, but he is so condescending. I mean, remember he said a thing that poor kid. What did he say? Poor kids are like, I can't remember, but
Poor kids are just as smart as white kids.
Yes, exactly. And in this one, he's telling a story. Apparently, he became a lifeguard so that he could, because it was a mostly black pool in Delaware.
That's right.
And he said he became a lifeguard to better understand black people. Does that sound like an elitist? Hey, I'll tell you what.
They're so different.
Yeah, if you want to understand black people, go down to the local pool.
Heck, I didn't know they could swim.
Come on.
That's the kind of thing. And it won't matter. It just doesn't matter. I think it's because of the Obama thing. He's just got the African-American support nailed down. But this is pretty funny.
Corn Pop was a bad dude.
Stop. This is all you need to know, people. Corn Pop was a bad dude. Is that not the way that a really good, like Humphrey Bogart should be in that movie?
Corn Pop was a bad dude. He stole the strawberries.
So I guess at this pool, the Corn Pop was the leader of a gang called the Romans. And would often challenge. Like, the story he tells is Corn Pop was up on the board, I think. And I have to tell you, kids, he makes a reference to Esther Williams here, who was a movie star who was known for dancing underwater.
She was an Olympic swimmer who became an actress.
Yeah. So she was the analog of Tarzan. He was an Olympic swimmer who became Tarzan. Olympic swimmers had good movie careers in America in the 30s and 40s. So go ahead.
Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he ran a bunch of bad boys. And I did. And back in those days, to show how things have changed, one of the things you had to use, if you used pomade in your hair, you had to wear a bathing cap. And so he was up on the board, wouldn't listen to me. I said, hey, Esther, you, off the board, or I'll come up and drag you off. Well, he came off, and he said, I'll meet you outside my car.
All right, now you're going to go to this other thing, which is absolutely hilarious. So now he's telling the story what happened as he got prepared for meeting Corn Pop in the parking lot later.
There's a guy named Bill Wright, Mouse, the only white guy, and he did all the pools. He was the mechanic. And I said, what am I going to do? He said, come down here in the basement where mechanics, where all the pool filter is. You know, the chain, there used to be a chain that went across the deep end. And he cut off a 6-foot length of chain. He folded up, he said, you walk out with that chain. And you walk to the car and say, you may cut me, man, but I'm going to wrap this chain around your head. I said, you kidding me? He said, no, if you don't come back. And he was right. So I walked out with the chain.
Yeah.
And I walked up to my car. And they had, in those days, you used to remember the straight razor. You'd bang them on the curb, get them rusty, put them in a rain barrel, get them rusty. And I looked at him, but I was smart then. I said, first of all, I said, when I tell you get off the board, you get off the board, and I'll kick you out again, but I shouldn't have called you Esther Williams. I apologize for that. I apologize, but I didn't know that apology was going to work. He said, you apologize to me? I said, I apologize for that, not for throwing you out, but I apologize for what I said. He said, okay, close the straight razor, and my heart began to beat again.
A little West Side Story action with Joe Biden.
Esther,
Hey, Corn Pop.
You remember straight razors?
Grandpa's telling the Corn Pop story again.
Let's hear the straight razor part again.
Corn Pop was a bad dude.
When you're a pop all the way.
From your first breakfast cereal to your last dying day.
Now he's grape nuts. See, back in those days, he's Corn Pop. Nowadays, he's Corn Flakes. Got a little bit older, a little bit grayer, but he can still fight. So
it's straight razors, huh?
I went down in the basement. You know how the straight razors, you bang them on the concrete there, drop them in a pail of water, get them all rusty, and go and stab people with them. Then what I did is I went down in the basement and I said, give me 6 feet of chain. Wrap around my hand. Up some Corn Pop. Say, hey, Corn Pop. Hey, I apologize, buddy. Hey, because I know you're a bad dude, buddy. I said, hey, Corn Pop.
He was leader of the Romans.
Yeah, the Romans. Well, listen here, buddy. Tell you what, I'm Hannibal coming over the hill with an elephant, and that elephant is called this chain. I had the chain in my hand. I said,
it's on, baby.
Said, I'm sorry, Corn Pop. I didn't mean to call you Esther.
What was that part about? Like you put them in a bucket and you get them.
No,
in
you
the
take
rain?
it. You know, you take the straight razor, you bang it on the road there. Then you run over it with your tire.
Go to the second one.
Then you hit it with WD Rusty.
There's a guy named Bill Wright, Mouse.
Yeah, Bill Wright, Mouse.
He did all the pools. He was the mechanic. And I said, what am I going to do? He said, come down here in the basement where mechanics, where all the pool filter is. You know, the chain, there used to be a chain that went across the deep end. And he cut off a 6-foot length of chain. He folded up, he said, you walk out with that chain. And you walk to the car and say, you may cut me, man, but I'm going to wrap this chain around your head.
Here comes
I
straight
said, you
razors.
kidding me? He said, no, if you don't come back. And he was right. So I walked out with the chain. And I walked up to my car. And they had, in those days, you used to remember the straight razor. You'd bang them on the curb, get them rusty, put them in a rain barrel, get them rusty. And I looked at him, but I was smart then. I said, first of all, I said, when I tell you get off the board, you get off the board, and I'll kick you out again, but I shouldn't have called you Esther Williams. I apologize for that. I apologize, but I didn't know that apology was going to work.
And that's why I should vote for me.
Corn Pop was a bad dude.
Don't vote for Corn Pop.
Every member of the Romans is a lousy chicken.
Hey, look me over. If you don't like me, vote for Corn Pop.
I'm writing Corn Pop in. If Pete Buttigieg doesn't make it all the way, which I don't think he will, I'm writing in Corn Pop.
My name's Joe Biden. I'm running for President of the United States. Look me over. If you like what you see, help out. If not, vote for the other person.
I said, hey, Orville Redenbacher, back off. Get out of the pool. Hey, Jiffy Pop.
So you were a member of the Jets. He was a member of the Romans.
Yeah, I was a member of the Jets. He's a member of the Romans. I said, hey, look, Corn Pop, listen, I'm sorry I called you. What did I call her?
Esther.
Who's that?
Esther Williams.
Who?
She was a very famous. She's a very famous.
So
You called her that, Joe. You called him that.
I'm sorry I called you Aunt Esther from Sanford and Son.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Yeah, because you're smart as most of the white kids, and I know you probably swim good. So take your straight razor there, put it back in the water, let it get a little rusty, and you stab someone else.
All right. I promise we shall return.
Corn Pop was a bad dude.
All right, I got my headphones back on. Everything's good.
Corn Pop was a bad dude.
Yes, he was. All right, what else do we have in campaign trail mix?
Well, this is kind of an interesting one because it kind of fits a headline.
Well,
and
I'm glad it's kind of interesting because we're trying to keep an audience.
It's a crossover story. It's a headline.
You say it's not all that interesting, but it's kind of interesting.
Well, it crosses over between headlines and campaign chaos because the New York Times had this big hit piece out on Brett Kavanaugh over the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I like beer.
Yeah. This is remarkable. This is remarkable. Go ahead. So now the New York Times, they didn't. There's one little thing they didn't put in their story.
Right.
So there's a book out, and in the book, somebody claims that they saw at a party back in the Yale days. I can't describe, but other people helped Brett Kavanaugh put something somewhere, somebody's hand. It's the best I can do for you on the radio, controlled and governed by the FCC. Now, the New York Times the next day had to correct itself and say, oh, there's one thing that we left out. The person that supposedly this happened to has no recollection of it whatsoever. It's somebody else at the party, and the somebody else at the party is somebody, I think, who's a lawyer for bigwigs, the Clintons, others, Democrats, whatever. But here's the thing about the New York Times story. It was in the book. It wasn't as if the story was in the book and they lifted it and put it in there. In the book, it said the supposed victim does not recall these events happening. Now, and then I guess the reason you put it in a campaign trail mix is because everybody running for Democrat primary said, oh, he's got to be impeached or he has to resign, because I read a story, and as we know, Brett Kavanaugh is that one person that he is not innocent until proven guilty. This guy's guilty until he proves himself maybe almost slightly innocent.
This is what Amy Klobuchar had to say about it.
I strongly opposed him based on his views on executive power, which will continue to haunt our country, as well as how he behaved, including the allegations that we are hearing more about today.
Yeah, he's going to be impeached when the victim cannot recall the incident happening. Yeah, Brett Kavanaugh, I looked at this. So far, in the majority more often than any of the other 8 justices. That's not a radical. In the majority more often than any other of the 8 justices. That's not a radical. Hour 2, the Von Haessler Doctrine begins right now. Rest in peace, Rick Ocasek. I always said Ocasek. I heard this morning a lot of people saying Ocasek, I guess.
I've heard it Ocasek my entire life.
We've said Ocasek forever, but I don't know.
I'm going to keep saying Ocasek.
Either way,
people
rest in peace.
People change the pronunciations of things just to be different.
Well, new. Most people haven't said his name in years. And he's, 75. Surprised me that he was the same age as, like the Stones. So he must have been older, because they didn't hit until 77 or 78. At that point, the Stones have been around for 16, 17 years, and it turns out he's right there in that same age group. I didn't realize he must have been a little over 30.
Yeah,
right?
I always thought that they were an 80s band. So.
Yeah. Well, no, I think that first one dropped in like 78. You notice how I use that terminology, Jared? Dropped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it.
And that game last night. Congratulations to the Falcons, but Al Michaels at that dental plate on NBC.
On NBC.
Is NBC?
NBC. And it was a great night for Mohammed Sanu.
Yeah, you did stumble when Hooper fumbled the ball and Sanu picked it up, and Al Michaels didn't miss it.
And there's Hooper drops the ball, and there's Sanu picks it right up.
Because also Al's getting into that thing where he sounds a little bit like a warped cassette tape.
Somebody get a pencil. We got to fix this tape.
Chris Collinsworth.
Al, I tell you about it. It's just, the Falcons, everybody counted them out after last week, and what happened was we saw them. Matt threw a couple picks early in the game, but, I was just real excited to see them get in there.
That's what I was saying on the Eagles.
So this was on NBC.
On NBC here in the middle of Atlanta.
I think the old NBC is transitioning. It's now NBC. You have some open mics?
Yes, I do. This first one is for Autumn.
Autumn's going to vote for Mayor Pete because he's gay and his name's Pete. This is exactly why the founders said you had to have property to vote. You had to have skin in the game.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. It's just notions and ideas. Autumn's never looked at his positions to see if she agrees with anything.
Why do I need to know that?
Yeah,
his name's Pete. He's gay.
Pete. Yeah, she named her son Pete. She loves the name Pete, and she wants her son to be gay. And so this to her, if the president, if there was a President Pete that was gay, as her child is turning into a toddler, he's something to look up to. So hey, we all vote for different reasons. They're just not all legitimate. That's all.
Listen, I kind of agree with that person. All of this stuff about you have to get out there and vote. Yes, you do. But if you're going to vote, you need to know what's going on.
So you're not going to vote.
I probably shouldn't vote. Just to be honest, I probably shouldn't.
Autumn, there are women going crazy listening to this. You're the only woman.
It's not because I'm a woman.
This is a sausage party every morning. You're the only woman.
I'm the only donut in the room.
You're the only woman. And then here you are saying, I probably shouldn't vote.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with me being a woman.
Plenty of time. You got plenty of time. You can.
I'll wait until the end, just like baseball. I'll wait until the World Series and then I'll pick a team to choose.
Just and you pick by uniforms.
He's handsome.
Yeah, Autumn was telling me that Beto O'Rourke was her second choice.
Yeah, and
Who?
No way, no, she's not.
Is that a Spanish dish?
Dorky O'Rourke.
I'll take the Beto O'Rourke.
Yeah, what is that? Can you explain that to me?
It has like a chocolate sauce, spicy a little bit, rice, cheese, meat.
It gesticulates a lot on the plate. We did not have a winner for the 95.5 WSB free gas giveaway. That hurts me in some way. But it's good for you guys because then we roll up another $100. That means you'll have a chance to win $600 at 4 o'clock today. You're listening to the other white Eric Erickson. He'll call your name if you've been smart enough to go to WSBradio.com or use your WSB Radio app and register your name. You hear your name called. You got 9 minutes, 55 seconds to call back then, and you will get $600 in free gas. You have open mics, Marty?
Yeah, speaking of that WSB Radio app, this came from that as well, this open mic.
This is Kenny and Marietta. With the system we currently have with the free market, we can actually regulate what is put into nicotine cartridges, vape juice, and make sure that these harmful and deadly chemicals that cause these problems aren't put in there. If we go to the blanket ban, all it's going to do is widen the gap for the black market and cause people to die.
Well, I agree. And every once in a while, we could just kind of put our hands up to the government and say, hey, back off. This is none of your business. Why don't we do that? I'll tell you why we don't do that. Because there's another side called responsibility to that. So if you stand up and tell the president and Congress vaping is none of your business, but you're not willing to go the next... See, most people will agree with me there, but they will not go with me further, logically. If you tell the government to get out of your health business, you might be on the hook for what your health is when you're older. And that nobody wants that responsibility. So therefore, you allow the government to prohibit things and tell you can't use things because in the end, you're going to need the government. That's really the kind of situation we have going on here. Doesn't have to be that way. Doesn't have to be that way. We could all, with our paychecks, rather than putting aside money given to the government for them to waste, all we could be putting aside in even a mandatory fashion. I guess that goes against my libertarian leanings, but I'd rather it go to the right thing. You could set aside of your paycheck that gets invested in kind of a IRA type of 401k thing your whole life, and maybe you'd be better off at the end. But that's not in the government's interest that you're not hooked up and in need. Nothing is ever one way with the government. I'm sorry to tell you. There's nothing ever given from the government without something being demanded in return. Oh, yeah, we'll give you some money. You out of work? Hey, stand on one leg. Dance around a few times for the bureaucrat. Okay.
Do I get my freebie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Put your hand on your nose and hop on one leg and whistle for 10 minutes.
I'm not really good at this.
Well, just do whatever you need to do.
So my kid will get breakfast at school?
Yeah. Just keep on hopping.
Okay.
So, plus last week, 2 stories got conflated. Did anybody notice that? The deaths were from, appears to be black market THC oil that's getting in. Those are the deaths. And the other story is that we have more teenagers than ever, and it's said to be spiking and alarming and an epidemic. Does epidemic mean anything anymore? Epidemic. I thought in an epidemic I could get it. I can't get this.
Like it's on your doorstep.
Yeah, like it is.
Very contagious.
Apparently epidemics come in all forms and flavors now. So the story was that teen use was rising, and that was becoming alarming to educators and parents. And then they conflated in the 6 deaths. And then by the time Trump was speaking last week, he was putting the 2 together. People are dying, and there's kids, and they're 2 different
Everybody's
stories.
dying.
And what this guy says is absolutely correct. If you want to have less bad oil on the market, then you get Johnson & Johnson involved. You get real companies involved that know how to do this, or drug companies who have been on the hook for their drugs being what they are advertised to be for 70, 80, 100 years and know how to do it. If you want to have more death, because I don't know if anybody's learned this lesson yet, but Americans, and especially teenagers, don't usually respond very well to, we're going to take that away from you, or you can't do that. So it's going to continue. You in the government will have signaled your virtue to everybody, but more people will die. Because if you take the legal stuff off the market, more people are going to go to the black market, and who knows who's putting that stuff together. And if you're listening to me right now going, well, I don't do it, so why should I care? I would say, because they're going to come for whatever it is that you do that they don't like next.
You mean bacon?
Bacon could be next. I remember when I was in L.A. on the radio is when the tobacco companies were taken to court by attorneys general all around the country, and Joe Camel was put out to pasture and all that. And we said then they're going to come after your soda, your drinks, and people would call in, "Oh, you're hysterical! Come on, I'm ignorant, Eric. We're all here in 1995. That would never happen." I don't think it's successfully happened yet, but there have been some attempts.
The mayor of New York.
Yeah, tried.
Bloomberg.
I think they put it in and then they took it out.
Well, it failed, yeah.
It failed, but, it's not so ridiculous. I've got an idea. Be responsible for yourself. Can anybody be responsible for themselves? And then on the other side of it, live and let live. 4 words that if adopted by everybody on the planet, right now, we would have world peace in 24 hours. But that's not going to happen. So I'm going to put together an army to kill a bunch of people until everyone agrees to live and let live. Am I going in the right direction? I don't know. Next.
I have one more open mic for you. Our last show was on Friday the 13th, which is a very spooky day, but you don't think
it's not
it is.
a spooky day at all. What's spooky? And then this time, because people act like they're cavemen, and there's a harvest moon. What are you? I'm sorry, cave people. I don't want to. It's 2019.
I don't
know how you.
We barely made it through the day.
How you people identify? Oh, the moon is in full. What is people? You live in.
It was a micro moon.
Night sun, scary.
It was a micro moon, guys. That is terrifying.
Oh, it was a day and a date with a full moon. Morons everywhere were.
It was also a full moon the next night, so who cares?
Yeah, but it wasn't Friday the 13th.
That's right.
That's just an ordinary Friday the 14th.
No.
Yeah, evil goes back to bed on Friday the 14th.
Now
You know what I like to know about evil and Friday the 13th? How many of the most horrific wars were even started on Friday the 13th? I would say the most evil war probably was World War I. When was that started? Not
knows?
Friday the 13th.
A Saturday afternoon, I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea, but I mean,
That's why I hung up my dream catcher on Friday night.
Oh, yeah. Boy, you.
I charged my crystals in the front yard.
They let you vote, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm voting for whoever. I don't know.
Now, this open micer might sway you a different direction.
Maybe.
This is for Eric Von Haessler. You say that it doesn't matter if it's Friday the 13th or a full moon. I dare you to go into an elementary school today, and then you tell us if you feel the same way. Have a great day.
Okay, hold on. All right. I'm 55. My youngest kid is 21, so there's absolutely no reason for me to be going into
So you're
an elementary
chicken,
school.
hey?
Yeah, I guess I don't really get your point.
Okay, Mr. Von Haessler.
I don't.
I dare you
Yes.
to go into a kindergarten classroom
Yeah.
and go in there and just take your clothes off.
No,
I dare
no,
you.
I'm not going to do that.
What?
Why would I do
It's
that?
a full moon
What
on
is it?
Friday the 13th. I dare you.
The whole world has gone bonkers, I tell ya. Bonkers. All right, again, R.I.P. Rick Ocasek. It was a big album when I was a kid, Jared. We were all listening to this. I can't tell you how many times I sat in the other room while my friends made out to that candy.
What were you doing?
Well, I mean, a lot of times it was just nothing. I was
Watching the record go around?
Yeah, I was in charge of the tunes, and then my friends got to have fun and make out. But you know what? I escaped my teenage years without any STDs. I can't say that for all my friends. So, sometimes you got to do the long play.
You were the lucky one.
I was the lucky. I was lucky in my unluckiness, I guess, ultimately. All right, you got another open mic?
Yes, this one is technically for Clark Howard, but we can address it here.
Clark Howard?
Yeah.
Who's he?
He is...
the consumer advocate here on WSB.
I just heard Clark Howard talk about how important it is to not talk on your phone because people are running red lights and killing other people. That's very important. Unfortunately, I have also heard Clark Howard vehemently preach against red light cameras, saying they're only about the revenue. Which way are you going to have it, Clark? Is it about revenue or is it about following the law?
I don't see that those two are even. Is anybody finding the nexus
what
there?
now?
How do those two go? Couldn't both be true? I don't understand what is the hypocrisy here? What are you getting at?
I can't follow.
Well, I can't either. I heard what you just said. So he could be against the red light cameras.
You can't be against red light cameras and then be for the other thing.
Yeah. What was the other thing? The guy who went on so long. What was his first thing?
I just heard Clark Howard talk about how important it is to not talk on your phone.
Oh, yeah, not talk on your phone.
Yeah,
Well,
don't
wouldn't that
talk on your phone. When you're on the phone, you're distracted.
Now, he didn't say that the photos weren't just going for people who are on their phone.
You
what
got
he was saying was, I don't really see how
if
these
you
two.
have
I don't quite understand.
Traffic light camera on you.
Yeah.
And you're not on the phone.
Yeah.
You got no reason to hate the camera.
Well, the camera.
But if you're on your phone, you could take a picture of the camera.
But what happens?
See the hypocrisy, WSB?
No, I don't. I don't, because I think that what was happening a lot with the cameras was you were going through at the right time, and then they just catch it when it turns red as you're going through. But you went through a yellow, which is legal. But everybody would
while
pay them.
I was looking at my phone.
No, the two don't have anything. We should not have the cameras, and you should not look at your phone. I don't think that Clark was advocating that people go through cross sections, but without
Why
being mindful.
don't you try going to an elementary school on Friday the 13th, Mr. Von Haessler?
I agree with that one.
The open micers working against
you
me.
You want to go on a date, lady?
I know they're working
you
against.
Got it, mister.
They're working against common sense. That's for sure. So, you went to Music Midtown this weekend.
I sure did.
And you mentioned this, Jared. And I've seen online a lot of people complaining. This Billie Eilish, who I've never heard one song, but people tell me she's
man or a woman.
She's a girl. She's 17. People tell me she's brilliant. I've not heard one of her songs, but you said this, and I went online. People were complaining she was lip syncing her set.
It sure did look like she was.
Well, I went online, and people have been complaining about this for the last couple of years. So it would appear that she has very whispery sing-songs, but she runs around the stage like crazy. So the two can't be together.
Correct.
That she's able to whisper her little songs and run around the stage like crazy. I've never heard Billie Eilish. I trust that she has some talent.
I mean, she's very interesting.
Does she do all those all the songs these days? They're they're kind of like nursery rhyme.
No.
Dee 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 da dee da.
No, she's not like that at all.
Doesn't matter because lip sync or live singing.
Yeah.
Billie Eilish donated her proceeds from Music Midtown to Planned Parenthood.
Oh well, that's good.
So she's heroic.
Well, anyway, she can't be for her own causes.
No, I'm just saying she did a heroic thing.
Angry white guy over
Got
there.
rid of her money and donated it to her favorite charity.
This is from you. Did you? Thank you, Billie Eilish. You're brilliant. You're a genius. Yeah.
Yep.
You haven't had an abortion yet, I hope. You're only 17 years of age, for heaven's sake. Yeah. Okay, I sort of understand. Kind of. So she's lip syncing right now. It turns out she lip syncs when she talks. And Planned Parenthood didn't really get that check. It turned out it was just lip synced. Everything's virtual with this generation. Yes.
Now, most of the people that I talked to wanted to see Billie Eilish the most. So they were, I had a chance to talk to some people.
You know what? Jared loves to tell me that he's got MOS. You know what that is?
Is that a disease?
First of all, it is. He forgets that it's 2019. It should be POS.
Oh, you're right.
People on the street.
Oh, wait a second. I don't think
man on the street. Okay.
Man on the street.
POS?
Yeah, POS. What's wrong with that?
What a POS this guy is.
Yeah.
It's point of sale.
Point of sale. So POS would be people on the street. MOS is man on street.
Yeah.
And you went out and got some audio. And, he said to me, people are out of control. I think that the only reason I let him play this audio, because I don't think much happens here, but I wonder who's drunker, the interviewer or the interviewees?
You be the judge. What do you think of Music Midtown 2019? What do you think of Music Midtown 2019?
I think it's crazy. It's packed. I've never seen it this full.
Who was your favorite artist this year?
Billie, for sure. She was amazing.
She was incredible. Talent, her words, songwriting, and the performance, everything. It was up.
Ready to see Travis Scott.
Ready to see Travis Scott?
I'm ready to see Travis Scott. I think he's going to trump all bands.
Yeah, I'm ready to see Travis Scott.
Yeah.
So ready. It's going to be so much better than all the rest of them.
You can't wait for Travis Scott.
I can't wait for Travis Scott. It's just going to be so much better. And everybody's here and we're all here together. And it's just so awesome.
Travis Scott, if he lip syncs.
Oh my God, I love Travis Scott. He's my favorite one. I'm going to wait to see him.
If he lip syncs, then he would be lip syncing to his auto-tuned voice on the record.
Yeah, how do they recreate that on stage?
I don't know. You can work it into the microphone. That game Fallon plays with the different microphones. You can work it into the microphone.
Yeah, Travis Scott had a sick
Oh my
light
God,
show.
I love Travis Scott. He's awesome.
But
Can he sing?
I don't get it.
No, he doesn't sing.
I'm
he
not
does
that impressed with him.
warbly thing.
Kylie was there. Kylie Jenner was at Music Midtown last night.
Wow.
Apparently.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That I would be in the same general vicinity as the number one, I don't know what she does, but she makes a lot of money person. Wow.
The number one, I don't know what she does, money person, Kardashian.
Yeah,
Who
my
knows who,
goodness. Isn't she a billionaire or something?
Yeah, she was supporting her boyfriend.
She's 23. She's a billionaire.
Hey, half of
Whoop-de-doo.
her's a Jenner. She has
That's
that in
right.
her. She knows.
That's right. She's a fighter, right, Caitlin?
She knows how to get out there and fight for what she believes in. Yeah. Just like I did.
No, Caitlyn Jenner, you're beginning to sound like a gangster in the 1930s.
What are you talking about, see?
Oh, I don't know. Travis Scott, I've known people
Right,
love him.
love Travis Scott. He's
I know
amazing.
you love
He's
Travis
my
Scott.
favorite person.
I don't know
That's
what
what I'm
his-
here to see. It's just Travis Scott.
Does this Billie Eilish just mope around? Because I'm looking at pictures of her. She just looks pouty.
She's pouty. She's
blue
17.
hair, annoying.
And you know what? I've read a couple of things because you can't get away from the clicks.
Yeah.
With her. She's in everything. And the one thing you need to know about Billie Eilish. She doesn't care what you think.
Oh, good.
She does not care what you think. That's the important thing. So, Billy, it's okay if you lip sync. You know, you want to put on a good show, you lip sync. Hey, I sang a song on my Christmas special, and I lip synced it. Yeah, I'm kind of like you, Billie Eilish. You and I have a lot in common. You're a 17-year-old privileged white gal, and I'm a 55-year-old born into poverty.
Ew, gross.
Fought and scrapped my way to the middle.
Looks like
right
all
to the
she-
middle.
looks
I
like-
made it right to the middle, Billy.
Billy, it looks like all you eat are pills. So maybe you start off with Ritalin in the morning and maybe
Cigarettes.
Yeah, cigarettes.
Wait, are you saying
cigarettes.
does she do cigarettes? She doesn't eat cigarettes, does she? I don't know.
I try his diet plan.
I thought she was just a suburban.
Safer than vaping.
Are you saying she looks like this? Or are you saying you
Yeah,
know
she
this?
just looks.
Oh, you know, maybe she's just skinny. But you know what? See, she doesn't care what you think. That's the thing. See, because she's a girl and you're a guy, you think she's supposed to dress up for you. But see, Billie Eilish doesn't care about that. She doesn't care what you think.
Well, I know if I had money, I'd smile. She should smile more.
She smiles when she gets backstage.
Yeah.
She counts her money.
There she is. I fooled all those losers.
She's born into money. This isn't bad. Yeah. Excuse me, are you breathing or singing? Are you lip breathing? Are you breathe syncing? Well, I mean, you know, everybody loves her. She's great, I guess. You got a different one? Alan? Alan's got a different one from Billie Eilish. This one's totally different. Totally different.
All the good girls go to
There's something about it I like better than most.
got herself.
There's a dreaminess to it that I kind of like.
Yeah, and she's.
So it just seems like a lot of the sameness there. Yeah.
Could we put a little something into it? I mean, it'd be like, I remember the times of trouble. Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom. Let it be. I get by with a little help from my
Yeah, I like
We
these.
are walking on sunshine.
Oh yeah. Sometimes I like these.
I'm walking on sunshine. Oh yeah.
Sometimes I like these artists. You imagine that, like, when they record the songs, they just have a bed in the studio
Yeah.
and they just lay there.
Just
they
laying
hook
down.
up the mics, so they just like roll over. Some Radiohead albums are like that, where I think Tom York's just like laying in bed. But you get me more on the dreamy than the Travis Scott in your face
Yeah,
stuff.
and she plays with her family. Her brother, I believe, was the guitarist.
Yeah, but they're all rich, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I'm nothing against her. It doesn't mean you can't be great because your parents are rich. But
If you feel that happiness is the truth, then we're happy.
you sound very happy today, Billie Eilish. What's that? Excuse me? Are you
what's the
awake?
one with that?
Are you awake?
There's this little song I wrote. I want you to sing it note for note. Don't worry. Be happy.
Well, you sound very, very happy, Billie Eilish. You must be having
Me and
good.
Julio down at the school.
Billie Eilish
Chrome
covers all your favorites.
gives you those nice bright colors. Gives us the greens of summers. Makes you think, oh, the world's a sunny day. Oh yeah.
Good day, sunshine.
The
I
worst Paul
was alone. I
McCartney
took a
song.
ride. I didn't know what I would find there.
All right, Billie Eilish. He ruined it with Good Day Sunshine. Are you awake? Billie Eilish, are you asleep or are you sleep syncing?
Hey, I paid good money to come see you.
Why?
I thought you would perform.
I went to the show. This is so.
Jerry, sorry.
Billy,
This is so endemic. Now I went to a show. The one Jeff Tweedy was at. He was real sick. Where was that? In not in Marietta. It was in
Decatur Square.
Decatur Square, and the whole lineup was great. And but there was this girl from Memphis, and I mean the crowd absolutely loved her. But I mean, these are like songs. These are like pre-suicide songs. She never got it. It was just like, oh, life. She could barely squeak out a tune.
My Netflix is canceled.
I don't know what. I mean, I was sitting there watching her just thinking, oh my goodness, do you need a hug? What's going on here? Who broke you? Is this Billy happy?
Could you retweet me, please? You like my Insta post?
Merry Christmas, everybody.
I don't care what you think of me.
Santa Claus.
All right.
Jingle bells. Jingle bells.
We'll have Billie Eilish do a song at our Christmas special.
Jingle all the way.
Billy, wake up over there.
Oh, what fun.
It's showtime.
It is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
Yeah. Holly Jolly Christmas.
It's a holly jolly Christmas. And when you walk down the street, say hello to friends you know and everyone you meet.
Something has really bummed out these kids today. I mean, this one, she grew up in the lap of luxury in Los Angeles. Nothing against that.
Had lovely green hair, too.
Oh, right. Is that the thing now? The green hair? Is the blue hair out?
Yeah, it's mainly green hair now.
We hate having everything we want at our hands.
I had a blue
My son.
Christmas.
Yeah. You still going? You still going, Billy?
Christmas is my kind of Christmas.
There you go. Written by Eric von Haessler, composer Chris Chandler.
Something about the weather. I don't remember.
You don't know the song? Thismas is my kind of Christmas. Presents as far as the eye can see.
Presents as far as I can see.
I can't remember the rest of the words either. And I wrote them. Are you awake over there, Billie Eilish? Okay, she seems to be. She's not at all. She doesn't do an encore. You know the show's over when she just nods off.
Well, and she said two things. She said, I've only got 2 songs left for you, and she was dead serious. Like, she walked off after that. There was 5 minutes left in the set.
I'm dead serious.
Are you dead or dead serious?
Don't be surprised, Jared. I see you out there.
I know.
I said I had 2 songs.
Listen, I've seen you 2 years in a row at Music Midtown, and I expected more this year.
At least when you get Tove Lo on stage, you get something to look at for 10 seconds.
Oh,
yes,
she's the one who shows off her breast.
Oh, that's not what I meant.
That's you like her feet.
Yeah.
All right, this is what the kids like. I like the dreaminess of this stuff, but it does sound kind of the same after a while.
Got friends but can't invite.
Nobody tweaks your funny bone like these guys. Eric von Haessler, weekday mornings at 9, and Mark Aram, weekday evenings at 6 on 95.5 WSB.
Just what I needed. Rick Ocasek. It makes me feel old. I know I'm being selfish here. I'm losing all the people that I grew up with. All right, it's not about me. This is a show about other people.
We just have to adopt new artists.
You just caught me in the middle of my Dear Diary. But it's true, like all the people I grew up with. I mean, Eddie Money, it was just Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, it was Thursday.
Thursday or Friday, and now Rick Ocasek.
Who's going to be the third?
It doesn't go in threes.
Yes, it
no,
does.
It doesn't. You count them in threes.
That's right, I do. So it goes in threes. Who's the third?
Rick Ocasek would be the third of some number if you decided to start counting in a different time.
Well, I just started counting with Eddie.
Okay, well then.
So who's the third?
Well, we're all in danger. We don't know
I'm
yet.
hoping it's you right now.
That's right. I know you.
Hey, take
I know
that back.
You're coming after me.
Sorry, Tim.
Yeah. See, Tim realizes he's got no career without me. You.
Listen, both of us would
cocky.
start immediately working on a great impression of you.
And
then we'd go for it.
We didn't even get to one single story.
I know.
Autumn the Death Merchant.
Everything's fine.
Wishing death upon the host of the show.
Listening to too much Billie Eilish.
Yeah, it's all death, all downers all the time.
Be done.
Hour 3 of the Von Haessler Doctrine begins right now. You know, Rick didn't sing all the songs.
No, the other guy did.
Benjamin Orr. He died, I think, in the late 90s. Lived here in Atlanta, I believe. R.I.P. Let's do this.
More headlines for Monday, September 16th.
I liked Moving in Stereo. That might be my favorite Cars.
Stereo.
I always thought that was a freak out song when I was a kid.
Kanye West brought his pop-up Sunday service performance to New Birth Missionary Baptist Church and Stonecrest over the weekend.
Kanye. Kanye's been doing this, doing the pop-up services. Kanye's a big, he's a big worshiper.
I didn't know he was so religious.
Yeah, he's been talking about it for a while, but he really is. He's genuinely religious, and he's been doing these. It's supposed to be great. It's supposed to be a blast, like gospel revival kind of thing, music, the whole deal. I imagine it's quite good. Kanye West, I wish that his message from a few months back, the whole when he was wearing the Make America Great Again hat again, and that was so polarizing, and then he was kind of jumping around kind of crazy in the Oval Office when he was in there, and I think it distracted away from what started all that. And Kanye West, when you go through all of the nonsense, the polarized country, how could you, get through all of it. What started it, he had a really, really smart and important message that he was aiming toward teenagers who liked his music. So when this whole thing started, there was that girl, Candace Owens, at Turning Point. So she's a young black conservative. And from the very beginning, Kanye said, I don't agree with everything. But basically what he was saying was, maybe you ought to check this point of view out. And if you go deeper, and it's sad because everything's personal now. Politics is personal. And so people who normally love Kanye but hate the president were able to go, Kanye's just, off his meds or something. And, and what got lost in all of that was a very important thing. What he was saying to 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, was that the danger of having a political idea when you're this age on social media, we know that 14-year-olds in social media want one thing. We know 14-year-olds since the beginning of time have wanted one thing, and that's to be popular. And now within social media, popularity is retweets and likes. So there are not many 14-year-olds who have the constitution to walk alone, to put an idea out there that may not be universally liked, voted up, all of these social media things. And that's what he was warning about. He was trying to get the idea across to 14 and 15-year-olds. Don't do your politics like you do your boy bands or your opinion about the Kardashians or what they're doing or who they're dating or anything like that. If you're 14 and all you want is retweets and likes, then you're just going to go with the popular idea and you're not really going to be able to educate yourself on politics. Either take it off at 14 or make sure that you're going to other points of view, and then you know what you think. I don't think he was saying that everybody should be a fan of the president. I don't even know where he stands now. But there was a really important message, and it's really not just for 14 or 15-year-olds. I'm telling you, if this country doesn't last more than another 50 or 60 years, and then they come back and they do the forensics, social media is going to have a lot to do with it because we're all exhausted because we used to get really, really excited about politics for about 3 months every 4 years as we went into a big presidential contest. The professionals got their talking points every day, and they got their paycheck at the end of the week, and their job was every day to do it. The rest of us just jumped in for a couple of months every 4 years. But now, because of the internet and social media, whichever side you're on, you get the talking points of the day. You get the big stories, and you see what Bill Maher said, and you see what Kellyanne Conway said, and depending on where your politics are, you've got your talking points for the day, and boom, you go. Social media every day. Win the 24-hour news cycle, and we're all exhausted. Because,
can I say, I wonder if we have more information than we ever have, but we're less informed.
Yes.
Well, I think that happens because it's a spigot. It comes at you just so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
That you're getting more information. But you know what? The fact is, and I've talked about this before, if you yourself take the time and work on yourself and develop a personal philosophy, you don't have to take every issue and turn it upside down and around and you will know. I think of it like, what's the Price is Right game? Is it Plinko where the things go down?
Yeah.
I think so.
So you start at the top, and there's only like 4 or 5 places that the thing can come down at the bottom.
Where it will land.
Where it will land, right? Well, that's how I feel about a personal philosophy. I know what I think strongly about 5 things. Freedom, individuality, government, add a couple more. So And the Plinko board is any news story I hear. Well, any news story I hear, I've identified what I think about the fundamental things. There's no new news story that doesn't touch on the elements, the fundamental things. And I've taken the time to know what I believe about them. So every news story isn't something that I have to grasp every side of. I can immediately go, oh, this is about, I know what I think in this situation. I believe in limited government. I know what I think about this situation. I think all people have the right to live their lives as they choose. So it's not difficult for me. But if you don't do that, then you'll find yourself one of these people who's like super conservative on Wednesday and super liberal on Thursday because of the different stories you've read, because you're processing it all new. Just take the time. It's my Plinko analogy.
I like it.
Nobody breaks it down
Makes
like
sense.
Eric Von Haessler. It can only come out in 5 different topics. If you know what you believe about those 5 things, you'll know what you believe on any story. And so I feel bad that Kanye's message just got lost there in the middle of all that sort of weirdness that went on at the same time.
Well, I have a little bit of his message from yesterday at New Birth Missionary Baptist Church. This is what he said, I guess, to Channel 2.
When I found out about you and got closer to you, I got closer to my children.
Why would you think this? It sounds to me like he's preaching here.
That's right. I'm sorry. Channel 2 captured the audio.
He wasn't just preaching to Channel 2.
Correct.
Channel 2, I'm talking right to you guys.
Yes,
Weird interview.
Yes.
When I found out about you and got closer to you, I got closer to my children. Because the devil had me chasing a gold statue.
Well, that happens to all of us. And then we realize, although, come on, let's face it, Kanye got his gold statue.
Yeah.
He sure did.
He got the one, he stole one from Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I'm going to let you finish, dog.
All right, next up.
Andrew Yang is in the headlines, Eric.
Andrew Yang?
Yes, Andrew Yang, running for president. And he's saying that SNL, Saturday Night Live...
Oh, no, this is a weird thing. SNL has announced their new cast.
Their new hires.
Now, one of their new hires is... I don't know if he's the first openly gay. Have they have an openly gay cast member before?
No, the big thing is they have an Asian.
No, I know that. Follow me.
Okay.
He's also openly gay.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I don't know if he's openly gay, first openly gay, but he's the first, I guess, Asian cast member. Now, they also hired somebody else. I don't know the name of this guy.
Shane Gillis. And then they found something in a podcast or something, and... Where he's making anti-Chinese remarks.
Okay, the anti-Chinese. Because you can't speak in this country. You can't be a comedian. Somebody, I've got an idea. Lauren Michaels, float the idea of who your next cast members are. Then let society go out and do their digging through the past 15 years. See if they've ever had a moment or said anything. And then they get back to Lauren Michaels, and then he decides. So a lot of Asian comedians are saying that this guy should lose his job because apparently it makes people feel really good to know that somebody is going to lose the biggest break of their life because of your issue. I got a feeling if this Shane Gillis shows up at SNL and is constantly badgering the new Asian hire, my guess is he is not going to last for very long. But this concept here is no forgiveness, and by the way, no forgiveness needed. There's some of this going on with James Corden and Bill Maher now.
Yeah.
Bill Maher said, we need to bring fat shaming back so that people lose weight. I don't think he's probably half joking. I don't think he's supposed to be a comedian, whatever. Then James Corden, you don't understand being... I got an idea. How about you just laugh at yourself? Who cares? I can't tell you 3 times a week somebody makes a remark and says, well, you got the face for radio. What am I going to do? Complain to HR? Well, you just take it. Who told these people you have a right to walk through life without discomfort? And no one is going to, no critics. If you notice, we don't have critics anymore. We have haters. You know why? You had to listen to critics. If I call you a hater, then I can just, why would I listen to a hater? That's just negative energy. Let me just get rid of that. It's just amazing to me that my guess is no Asian comedian who is called for this Shane Gillis, who I've never heard of, and I don't know if he's funny or not. None of those comedians, I'll bet, know him. It's just calling for something. This is going to look good for me on Facebook. I'm going to call for this guy not to be able to feed his family. It makes me feel great. Because I'm a comedian, and guess what? Lauren Michaels never looked up my dress. So I don't have the power to actually be a cast member on SNL. But this is the power I have. You know, a lot of people in society now, this is their power, that they can keep somebody from realizing their dreams. Yeah, it's a weird. I've always thought that there are two types of people in the world: people who build things and people who knock things down. Ultimately, that's what it comes down to. And the people who knock things down are people who can't build. They know that they can't get there. But now in this society, knocking things down is valued far more than building things.
No.
Building things, you might end up making a bunch of money, and then we hate you for that.
Now, several of these headlines suggest that we should all be surprised by what Andrew Yang's response was to this.
Andrew Yang is a rather reasonable person.
Right. This is what he said about it.
I've experienced a lot of anti-Asian racism throughout my upbringing, and it hurts. And it's something that's very real, and I do think anti-Asian racial epithets are not taken as seriously as slurs against other groups. But at the same time, bigger picture, I believe that our country has become excessively punitive and vindictive about remarks that people find offensive or racist, and that we need to try and move beyond that.
Yeah, and deal with actual racism. You know, the thing is, it's all, moving in stereo. Deal with actual racism rather than all of these, somebody said something. Well, he thought it was funny. You didn't think it was funny. You don't think he's funny. That's your opinion. Now everybody move on. Dude doesn't have to lose his job. You're too easily offended. You know what? If you're easily offended, you're going to be offended a lot in your life. All right, hit me with something there, Yamamoto.
Did you go see Hustlers?
You're not paid to sit there on your brains.
Did you go see Hustlers over the weekend?
No, everybody, man,
I bought
press. Really? Were you caught into a 1974?
I was at a Texaco. I thought, why not?
It's a time warp?
It's a 3-for-1 deal. You got it for $11.99. You get 3 of them.
Well, you and the majority of America
Did
didn't
you
go.
put 3/4 in the machine in the bathroom and get a glow-in-the-dark condom at
I
the same
did.
time? All right.
Well, you and most of America, guys, did not see Hustlers. More people went and saw It Chapter 2. It won the box office over the weekend.
Well, they had a big problem. J-Lo was all over everything. I got the monitors here. She was all over. Did it come in second?
Yes, came in second.
It's pretty bad, though, when you get beat by a second-week movie.
Oh, yeah, especially It.
Now, he tells me, this Jared Yamamoto, you know who he is, my producer?
Yeah, he's the Asian guy.
Yeah, over there. Yeah.
Which, by the way, as the Asian member of this panel, that is okay. That is acceptable.
Okay.
You're allowed to say that.
You and Andrew Yang are allowing this.
Yes, this time.
You have thick skins.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Well, the music says I don't have time for it, but Jared said that he had a trailer for It. But these trailers these days, most of them are just noise.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing going on in the trailer, so yeah, we missed it, so I don't think we need it. Trying to get all these rules about comedy straight here. So, if I make jokes about dwarfs, is that considered punching down? I'm asking
You
a
taking
question.
that on the road?
I'm asking a question. I'm trying to figure things out here.
That's actually a very well-constructed joke.
My point, in fact, is if you are a dwarf and you just heard that.
Little person.
I thought that dwarf was okay.
No.
Dwarfism, but
Dwarfism.
the umbrella term would be calling
to me,
someone
I think
a little person.
Like a little person sounds worse.
Can
Like,
refer
you're
to-
a person.
Well,
You're
most of them
little.
sound worse
Like
now.
you always have all these the Kennedys. I always say, I'm fighting for the little guy. I always thought that was weird. Like, why? In order to fight for the little guy, you have to look out and see little.
Hey, thank you,
little
JFK.
They're all fighting for the little guy.
Fight for myself, but I'm little.
You're too little to fight for yourself.
I
It's kind of
can't
like a
fight for
slap in the face, isn't it?
Donald Trump's out there fighting for the little guy now.
My point.
MAGA.
My point. Oh, you're a MAGA little guy.
Yep.
My point is,
Make America giant again.
with all of this, Andrew, the whole thing with the Saturday Night Live guy and the Asian guy and then the new guy, he made Asian jokes a long time. Everyone needs to learn to be able to take a joke about themselves, no matter who that is, whatever themselves, yourself is. You need to be able to just take a joke. People make fun of me all the time. I'm called all kinds of names. I guess that's always punching up because, let's face it, I'm on a pedestal.
Wow,
I understand. When you go after Eric Von Haessler, you're always punching up.
Hey, you lanky jerk.
And so it's okay to punch up, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm learning from the left. It's okay to punch up.
So I could make fun of you because you're taller than me.
I'm tall and I'm wildly successful. So you can punch up to me. Although I'm worried about you, Tim Andrews.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. You seem to have a malaise that goes along with it. What's going on? What's going on? Are you a happy
have a
man?
malaise.
Are you a happy person?
Always.
Can you?
Always? Now I know you're a liar.
No one's always happy.
I am happy 24/7, my friend.
Yes. I don't know. He just
Thank
seems
you
a little
to
miserable.
pharmacology. Pardon?
Is it me? He seems a little miserable.
Jared, do I look miserable to you?
No,
Not at
miserable.
all.
Wait,
It's not a look, it's a feeling.
It's it just
Hey, you
seems like
see my aura or something?
it seems like it's always there. Just like, I'm not gonna get too happy about this.
Well,
I'm Tim Andrews.
I was happy Friday night. I got to see most of REM.
Yeah, and my Kevin Kenny singing with REM.
Did you leave early?
They should do an album together. They left after that part.
Yeah.
So I give him that. He hung in through that.
My wife has to get up at 2 a.m.
Yeah. Ooh. Wow.
Yeah, but you don't.
Oh, what is he gonna send her
drive
home?
home, honey.
Hey,
have a good night.
Hey, hit the road, gal.
Well, sorry, we can't do anything past 6 p.m. because somebody has to get up.
Well,
in
look,
the
that's the way that it is. I have to get up early, and my wife does a lot of things without me. But she
That's
got
right.
used to
And that
years ago.
night that you had to get up, we had to get up the next day.
Yeah.
You sent her on her way, and you went your way.
That's true, but I just wanted to get away from her. Oh, my God, after 32 years. Any
know,
moment
right?
alone. Here, let's do this.
This is interesting.
Or...
No thanks.
No
Thanks.
No thanks. No,
Did I hit it twice?
No thanks.
You know what? And this is truly, I have no idea what Jared... I said, Jared, whatever's left, just toss it at me.
Okay.
And I'll decide if I think it's interesting.
This is interesting.
Or whether I just plain pass.
No thanks.
And that's what we'll do. Don't call it. You're looking at me like you think this is filler, Autumn Fisher.
What? No, I know
No.
it's very important
This
stuff
is-
that we're
this
going to
is
get
just
to, and you
a
have an
strong-
opinion about every single thing, and you want to talk about it.
I'll tell you what. It's tiring. I told my bosses, my two dads. I told them the other day, I had no idea when I took this job that I was going to be expected to have an opinion about every damn thing that happened everywhere, every day.
Well, thank goodness we have this segment where if it's not something,
Yeah.
right, then you can just skip it.
I
You
can
don't have to
pass
talk
on
about it.
I tend to talk about both sides, whether I like it or I don't like it.
This is a practice for you. This is an exercise.
This is what my two dads told me. They said, don't worry about it. You can be insincere. Just make it up and act like you care.
And then did one of them say you want to go out back for a catch?
Yeah, I play catch out back, and yeah, they're very good. And right before,
It's all you've ever wanted, but you
Yeah.
had to push him away at that
Yeah.
point because it was too
Yeah.
too
In
much.
the
cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon.
Yeah, now I'm acting just like my two dads.
Little boy blue
Now
and the
I don't
man.
have time for them. Isn't it funny how the karmic wheel rolls? All right, what do you got for me?
This first one is from WSBRadio.com. How about that?
Never heard of it.
A heartwarming video shows homeless Memphis man being reunited with his dog after weeks apart.
No thanks.
Feel good story here.
Oh, it's a feel-good story. You know, I wish no harm to no man or woman.
Thank you.
Come on, Anthony Rogers was reunited with his dog Bobo.
Oh, Tony. I had no idea. I didn't know it was Tony Rogers.
Fell out of touch.
What's that great Norm Macdonald joke about homeless guys who have dogs? It's the longest walk ever.
Yeah. The longest walk in history.
I hate to ride sidecar. It's somebody else's joke, but I just had to on that one. No, I don't. I don't wish this guy any harm. But you know, this is the problem. The problem is what used to be a very local story. We have this 24-hour monster news thing, and everything becomes a national story. Oh, it's adorable. The two kids who saw each other on the street, the little 2-year-olds who ran towards each other. Okay, it was cute, but then it's not enough for it to just be something that's cute. It has to say something. Yeah. These two are teaching us how we no, they're not. They're two-year-olds hug each other all the time. Sometimes they hug people when you don't want them to hug.
Puss and I know.
It was cute, but it's got to be turned into something that's national and important. What does this say about us? Well, two-year-olds don't know a damn thing about anything. So my guess is it says nothing about us.
Oh, but you should see little Bobo. He's so excited to see Anthony again. He's jumping all around, and the video's gone viral now.
Yeah, I know. And because They tell me I got to stop making fun of millennials. That Pete Spriggs all over. You got to stop making fun of millennials.
They're in your audience here.
I'm watching.
Yeah.
They
Quit
turn
calling
this,
us corn pops.
They turn all this stuff into magic. It's just nonsense. They're so idealistic. It's so funny to me. It's just so funny because I don't know what they're watching I don't know if they're watching, but what was being advertised toward them until the football season comes on, because that's when I'm watching regular television. And what's this new one? Bluff City Law? Oh, yeah. It's
a new show?
Oh, we're going to go up against the corporations, those bad corporations. You know, the one that put that smartphone in your pocket. We're going to go after those bad
The one that put the show on their network.
Yeah, I know. It's these huge mammoth corporations that put these shows about busting corporate. You see it in that climate debate. It wasn't even a debate. That climate
town hall
marathon on CNN.
7 hours.
Every kid who stood up. I mean, rich corporate, all evil, just evil. Those fossil fuels people, they should go to jail. And meanwhile, this kid has no idea how many fossil fuel products went into getting him into that studio that night. Or he does know, and he just doesn't care.
Right.
What I do is okay. It's like when rock stars get together, and so they'll do a show for the environment. We're going to have, I can't think of any big acts. Sting and Peter Gabriel. And Cardi B is going to be there, and Jay-Z and Beyonce. And they're all going to do it for the environment. And they never think about, well, how much fossil fuel energy does it take to put on that huge stage? Get all of the dancers and the performers and the musicians there. Oh, what about the audience? We're playing in front of 75,000 people who I'm assuming didn't ride horses to the event. And then there's just this carve-out. Oh, like, for us, it's fine. I mean, we're doing rock and roll music. Yeah. It's not a waste of energy to do that. It's just what other people do. That's wrong, and it needs to be stopped. MSNBC, their weird racism. Now, you want to say reverse racism, but there's no such thing as that. There's just racism.
Right.
People say reverse racism. It doesn't have any meaning. It's just racist. Just you happen to go in another direction. But MSNBC, I guess at one point, Trump pointed in the crowd and he said, "Where's my African American? There's my African American.
Where's my African American? There he is. Hello, buddy."
Well, whoever that guy is now leaving the GOP.
Yes,
so MSNBC has him on. And then to me, the racism, not reverse racism, the racism involved, or at least elitism, is this idea that, well, he must speak for all black people who voted for Trump. What's one guy?
Look at the graphic. It says the GOP is using black people as pawns.
As if MSNBC is not right now.
Or the Democratic Party hasn't for the last 50 years.
Yeah. So I just love the idea that, when he was on Trump's side, there was no reason to listen to him. See, this happens all the time. And I don't care where you stand or who you voted for or what you like. I'm not even talking about that. All these 24-hour news networks are killing this country. Fox, MSNBC, CNN, all of them. Because there's the news is not the driving factor. Viewership is. Now, I'm a capitalist. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just important to understand what the product is. When you drink Coca-Cola, you don't think it's something it isn't. So you can drink as much or as little as you like. But people have come to believe that these 24-hour news networks are actually there to give them the news. They're there to keep them as viewers. That's why, if you noticed, and I don't even have to know this, I can just look at it and say, oh, that the lungs of the world are on fire. That wasn't testing very well. Because the rainforests are still on fire. And there's zero coverage on any of the 24-hour news networks that I can see for the past week. So it doesn't matter that they were the lungs of the world and they were on fire, because if that were true, man, that would be important and be worth doing something about. We tested it. People were turning the channel. The environmental thing doesn't really work. Okay, let's get back to Trump. Because Trump drives ratings no matter if you love or hate. Trump drives ratings for MSNBC. Trump drives ratings for CNN. They've been hurting, and MSNBC have been hurting, but the only ratings they get, if they try to stray somewhere, it gets worse. So they come back to Trump. And obviously Fox, Trump drives ratings for Fox. And that's what it's about. And again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just you need to know that. You need to know that. No 24-hour news network is speaking for your side. If you believe that, you've been bamboozled. And there's no wiggle room. 100% of the time, if you've come to believe, not just the 24-hour news networks, this station, any media outlet, if you've come to believe that any media outlet or blog or vlog, God forbid, is speaking for you, you have been bamboozled. Absolutely. 100%. No exceptions. Now, do I watch these networks for here and there? We do a current events show? Absolutely I do. But I never forget what they actually are. Maybe I'm a little more privy to it because, I know the inside of media. But it's important to understand that. Their job is to keep you watching. And whatever keeps you watching is going to become the most important story of the day. Boy, in a way, you're in the driver's seat, I guess. Maybe it's a little bit empowering. I don't know. That's why it's incumbent upon you, whoever you are listening to me, to not be a boring person. What's a boring person? Well, a person who gets up and thinks about the same damn thing every single day. That's a boring person. And if you fall into that category, you're going to fall right into them because they're going to figure out what your thing is and they're just going to keep feeding you. Hey, he likes peas. Come on, he's got to have something else. Nah, feed him peas. The guy likes peas. Let him keep on eating peas. He's going to vomit. Yeah, but when he vomits, he's just going to clear his stomach for more peas. Come on.
Yeah, it's Monday, Eric. We need some Monday motivation. I got to think of something clever here.
All right, now what do you?
I've got a story from Jezebel here. When you
Jezebel the magazine.
Yes.
There's another Jezebel, which is a website of some kind.
It's probably the website.
It is the website. Excuse me.
Well, when can I have a producer when I ask a question they'll answer me correctly? So it's not the magazine.
This is Jezebel the website.
All right. The magazine's owned by those two guys who employed me in the past.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the Jerky Boys. Or the Jerky Brothers?
The Jerky Boys.
The Jerky Brothers, I think they're called.
Yeah.
And you have to decide whether it is that you are interested in it or not. And
yeah.
The headline...
I realized in the last segment I said I wasn't interested and then spent the rest of the segment talking about it.
Well, what about this one? This is the headline from Jezebel. Someone stole a solid gold toilet from Winston Churchill's house. This is interesting.
I didn't even know that Winston Churchill had a solid gold toilet.
It was my finest hour.
Something weird here because it wasn't like Winston Churchill did not have a golden toilet. It was some sort of art exhibit. I think I read about it somewhere else. And as an art exhibit, it had been installed in the Winston Churchill either birthplace or home. And as part of that tour, and it was only there for 2 or 3 days, and then people stole it. Which, by the way, is a really good reason not to have a toilet made of gold. Or, if you do have a toilet made of gold, you should keep it to yourself. Because toilets aren't hard to steal, really. You ever replace a toilet? It's one of the only things I've ever done in my life.
You mean the whole thing or just the lid?
No, the whole thing.
Oh, they're heavy? They're made of porcelain.
They're heavy. A couple of guys, it's no problem. This one's made of gold.
That's probably lighter.
Yeah, I mean, you get a couple of guys, you can get it out of there pretty quickly. But I don't do anything. I had no manual labor at all. And a couple of times in my life, I've actually changed a toilet all by myself. Yeah, pulled the wax ring up, the whole thing. All by myself. And now when I'm done, I feel like, man, I am a real man. I'm a real dude. I just changed out my own toilet. Then I go sit on my ass and watch people talk about sports for 2 or 3 hours.
On your new toilet?
On my new toilet.
Do you think that gold is good for your skin?
Yes, it's good.
Is it good for your skin?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not bad for your skin.
Does it
like
hurt
a rash?
does it hurt the value of the gold to leave your deposits in there? I don't know. Oh, I don't know.
It's a reverse bank.
I didn't mean it that way. All right. Using one bad joke to get out of this entire show. We're done on the radio side. We're not done, because we go over and do the podcast 30. How can people join us?
2 places, Eric. They can go to the Von Haessler Doctrine Facebook page or the WSB Radio Facebook page. 2 streams. Click the red box on either of those pages, and you can watch us live in the studio.
All right. You got to choose, though. So poop or get off the gold pot. Thanks for listening to the Von Haessler Doctrine podcast. Remember, you can hear the show every weekday from 9 to noon right here on 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. Podcast 30 begins right now. I'm Eric Von Haessler, but you already knew that. He's Tim Andrews. I'll bet you knew that as well. J-Rad on the tunes. Maybe you didn't know that. Autumn Fisher, dancing. Her hair in her face. She looks like Joey Ramone's sister. Zoe Ramone. Hey, how's it going? My name's Zoe.
Hey, what's up? Hair, you don't like it?
Yeah, I love it. I think you're looking pretty hot lately.
Oh.
Yeah, I do. I think you
Even like this, BB?
Yeah, I think it's, I don't know. This is like, but then again, I only see you from like the chest up. I
Yeah.
don't know what's going on down there. I don't
see the
know.
whole thing?
I don't want to.
I'm not wearing any pants.
I don't want to know what's happening in a mommy town.
You haven't seen her cosplay pictures from Dragon Con?
With her?
Yeah.
And you?
No.
Or who?
She and Greg cosplayed.
This last time around?
Yeah.
Greg didn't cosplay.
Yeah, he cosplayed as a guy who doesn't cosplay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
That's like when I don't go to Halloween parties.
Yeah, you're
and
the
I say,
Invisible Man.
I was the Invisible Man. I hate Halloween parties.
Oh,
No,
come
I was
on.
Chihiro, Eric from Spirited Away.
Oh, I love that movie, but I only saw it once. So I
Yeah,
don't
it was the
remember.
girl. You know how she's wearing that like kimono thing tied up so that she can work, and she's running around the bathhouse.
Spirited
the
Away.
orange thing?
Spirited Away is the one where they end up in that other world, right?
Yeah,
It's
with
like
the spirit, the spirits get to go to a bathhouse.
That's right.
With the giant deer.
Is there a
No,
giant
that's Princess Mononoke.
Yamanaka.
Yeah,
I
'cause
love that one.
I like all of them. I loved all of them.
Yeah,
all the
they're
ones that I've
amazing.
seen. My favorite is the
Yeah,
Totoro. Totoro.
Have you ever seen Akira?
What's the guy's name? Akira is. Well, you just got to give me a plot line, and I'll remember.
Akira is
Motorcycles.
My son turned me on. My son turned me on to all these. We went to see.
He turns
week after
into
week.
like half a machine. It's weird.
I mean, I don't know if I saw that one.
It's kind of grotesque.
There's a nuclear explosion.
Yeah.
No, still good as Totoro.
John Turturro?
No, what's the name of it? Totoro.
Totoro.
It's something on like my something.
Totoro. Is that the one where the boy lives in the otion and
No.
he makes friends with the girl?
No.
That's Ponyo.
This is the one. Ponyo was a little difficult for me. That was one of the later ones. No, Totoro is the one where they keep the moms in the hospital the whole time, and they move at the beginning. They move to a new place, and they keep
Yeah,
checking
that's the
on
one with
mom.
the ocean, right?
I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe I only saw all of these movies. I can't remember the guy who makes these movies, but he's unbelievable. Still alive. He's like 80.
The guy.
Kurosawa?
No,
My
Kurosawa
Neighbor
is-
Totoro.
Is that what it's called? My Neighbor?
Mhm.
Opens up with the dumbest 80s song. You just want to turn it off right then. Just wanna turn it-
Miyazaki.
Yeah, Miyazaki. Well, say his first name.
Hayao.
Hayao Miyazaki.
Jared, where are you?
Yeah.
Right here.
Hayao
Whoa.
Miyazaki.
Right here? I don't
Do you
know any of that.
Do you know his animated films?
I don't.
They're all, he's a genius.
Yeah, they're
Unbelievable.
so beautiful.
Unbelievable.
And they're
Yep.
cute but interesting.
Totoro. I was when my 21-year-old was about 18 or 19 on the weekend at Midtown. They were showing a different movie every Saturday.
I remember that. I was really jealous that
we
you were getting to go
We
to
were
do
driving every weekend to go see a different one, and they would just knock you out. And Totoro, I mean, it was like, oh my God, what is this guy gonna? I mean, he could have split. I mean, it's just beautiful. The part where the whole part where they're waiting in the rain for the bus and the cat bus comes. I mean,
Yes.
it's just absolutely magical.
That. Did you see Kiki's Delivery Service?
Yes, that was the first one we saw. That was
Yeah,
amazing.
I like that one. Yeah.
You know, my son told me because we didn't. Only one of them that we saw was had the closed captions, the subtitles. The rest of them were no. I'm sorry. Most of them had the subtitles and they were in the original thing. Only one of them was when you do the voiceover thing.
Princess Mononoke?
I don't know which one.
Because that one has famous
That
people
was a
dubbing
little,
it.
was a little bit of a letdown. My son told me because he had seen what was the one you just mentioned?
Princess Mononoke?
No.
Spirited Away?
No.
Kiki's Delivery Service?
Delivery Service.
Okay, don't get mad at me.
No, I'm mad at myself.
Okay.
My son told me when he was a kid, he first saw that as a dubbed thing, voiceover, and in the voiceover, the cat was way more sarcastic in the voiceover than in actually seeing it like that. But I mean, it's a story. He's always telling these stories. A lot of stories I see them as almost like puberty stories. Like it's the first time that a kid has had to do something and be responsible for themselves.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I mean, Kiki's Delivery Service, she has to go away. And like I see all of that as just sort of this idea of becoming not an adult, but
Yeah.
someone who has some responsibilities in the
transition.
world. By puberty, I don't mean the sexual part of it, but just the transition in life.
Yeah.
There
really
you go.
interesting.
You didn't think you were going to get that, did you, when you tuned in? You didn't think you were gonna get us talking about movies that Eric can't remember by Kurosawa or whatever his name
Yeah,
is.
Ponyo is the one
Not
where
Kurosawa.
Ponyo is the one where I think the mom is working a lot, and then the kids have recently moved, or they're in this house, and the water is lapping up down below the house.
I don't
and
know.
then
I don't think I've seen that one.
there's like a ocean.
What's the one that goes
being
on?
that comes and makes friends with the person in the house?
What's the one that goes on? A lot of it's in the air, and they're flying in those machines. Oh, it's unbelievable stuff.
Tora.
No, that was
Castle in the Sky?
It might have been Castle in the Sky.
I haven't seen that one.
They're just beautiful, and
They really are.
And just if people haven't seen them or turn their kids on to them, you can sit there as an adult and watch those things, and you'll enjoy it, and they'll enjoy it because it's just magical.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I'll tell you this.
had a girl ask me. She said, "Chihiro, do you know if Lyft will pick up here?" I was like,
No.
You know me?
There were a lot of kids that were at the one that was dubbed because obviously they could hear it in English.
Yeah.
And I will tell you this: these movies when we first got in there, it was like, oh, it's been all nerds and geeks and adults all the weeks leading up to it. Then suddenly there's kids in the crowd, and to me, I did comedy with somebody once who had the best line about that. It's like watching a movie with a room full of drunk people when kids are in a crowd. I'm not a fan of it. These movies are so good, and this movie in particular, that the movie started, the kids shut up. You didn't hear a damn thing out of them the rest of the time. So
about overdubbing versus subtitles. There's a movie, I think it's called Iron Monkey, that me and my cousins used to watch as a joke because it was overdubbed and it was real goofy. It was one of those like typical what people used to make fun of, like the overdub, and it was real
over emoting and
yeah. And so we used to laugh. It was so funny. And then it was playing at the Dollar Theater in Lawrenceville. And we're like, let's go see it. It'll be hilarious. And then we get there and it's subtitled, which was fine. And then the movie was amazing. We loved it. We walked in there thinking like, this is a good time. This is going to be hilarious. And it was such a great movie. And that's when I realized that you can, when you're going to see a movie that's made in another language, there are things that aren't going to translate, or they're going to do things just so that the word might fit in the mouth properly as they're saying it. And it's the same with Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah,
that's another one that you have to watch with the subtitle. It's a different
Kung
movie.
Fu Hustle also.
Kung Fu Hustle?
Kung Fu Hustle is so good.
Is that Bruce Lee?
No. It's a Korean, I think it's a South Korean film that came out, 20 years ago, 15 years ago. I don't know the exact time. But it is so fun and it's so good. Have you seen it, Autumn?
Yes, I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've not
it's
seen
funny.
it. I'm almost amazed. The guy who made Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, it's the same guy who made The Ice Storm.
Ang Lee, right?
Ang Lee from
He made
Hong
The
Kong.
Incredible Hulk, too.
Well, that was a bad one. But he also made Brokeback Mountain, and he made The Life of Pi. I mean, this guy makes really wildly different movies. And they made that one with Jewel. I couldn't watch for 15 minutes.
Jewel?
Yeah, it's like some sort of Civil War movie. I mean, it was just awful.
yeah.
Her acting was so bad in the first 15 minutes, I turned it off.
Wars last
But-
for so
So Jewel the singer.
Yeah.
Okay.
But The Ice Storm.
No, it was
The
the
Ice
cigarette.
Well, and she annoys me.
Starring a Jewel.
She annoys. Yeah, she's an e-cigarette now. She annoys me. She annoys me anyway because Bob Dylan did this week of concerts in the '90s in L.A. And one night was like Merle Haggard was the opening act. Another night Beck was the opening act. We got the Wednesday night or something. It was Jewel. And as I was watching this thing, and she was literally getting mad at the crowd, that kind of thing.
Why? Were they having fun?
She just doesn't bring a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
No,
sorry. I mean,
no.
I love that one song. I love her story. Oh, my buddy T. Sean called that one what it was when it came out. The whole thing of I lived in my van.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, have you seen Jewel? Hey, somebody had a couch. You lived in the van because you wanted to live in the van, not because no one had a couch for you. I lived in the van with my mother.
No single dudes in Alaska.
I hate to say this, but she just didn't bring a lot. And the crowd was kind of restless, and she got mad at the crowd. She was yodeling. That was a big part of her act.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, is it called the El Rey Theater? It was so crowded on the floor that I began to wonder is it possible for me to actually go to sleep during Jules' act and not fall down? It's possible.
Yeah, just lift up your feet.
Just like fall asleep. So but that doesn't mean she can't act. And plus, Ang Lee, The Ice Storm is one of my favorite movies. How a guy from Hong Kong can nail the American family in the 70s, I have no idea how he did that. And I love that movie. And many of his other movies, but the Hulk thing was a disaster.
That was a good movie, though. It was really misunderstood from the Hulk, the Marvel fans. It was slow paced, but it was an Ang Lee film, and I thought it was beautifully shot.
Really? Maybe I'll go back and give it another chance.
Nick Nolte was in it.
Nick Nolte.
I don't care about the Hulk. I don't care.
I don't like the Hulk now.
I don't care about the Hulk.
I don't care about Captain America. I don't care about Spider-Man.
Neither do I.
I don't care.
I care about Batman for some reason. I don't know why.
I do too. You know why?
You
know why? Because he's a normal dude.
No, he's not. He's rich.
Okay, no. What I'm saying is
he's a psychopath.
Individual who does things on his own.
I'm sorry. What I meant was he's not. He doesn't have superpowers.
He doesn't have superpowers.
Yeah, but he's wealthy.
And bring back Michael Keaton.
Bad. That's
I don't
bad.
want. I don't want these. And the eternal struggle of Batman. Go away. I want.
That's
fun.
what Pattersons are going to be fun like that.
Oh,
that's all right. Well, I mean, look, I like the guy who made
Batman's just
the guy who made the last
and wussier.
Look, the guy who made the last Batmans. I love that director,
Christopher Nolan. Yeah.
Christopher Nolan.
The triple.
I mean,
the
his
trio.
movies. His movies that he makes for IMAX that nobody sees and nobody talks about. Interstellar, still. I don't know how many years ago that movie was so awesome, but you kind of have to see it on IMAX. I mean, I've never seen it not on IMAX.
I'm always asking Travis when we're watching that movie together. I was like, is this right? Like, is that what?
Dunkirk.
Dunkirk was very good too. Yeah, you're right. That was fun.
I mean, this guy makes he's made just these again. Fun?
I mean, I'm talking about like
Dunkirk was fun.
Yes,
Actually, no,
oh man, Schindler's List. What a ride!
In terms of how you immerse yourself into the film,
Right.
and Schindler's List was Spielberg, I believe.
No, she was joking. She was saying.
Oh my lord!
She was making fun
when the
of
giant
you.
shark saved all the Jews.
Yeah.
Jared was thinking of Funkirk, the porn parody of Dunkirk.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know how you would say it was fun. It was certainly amazing.
I was immersed in that film.
No.
Like I felt like I was locked. I was in that
bringing
plane.
these people back and forth from France is real fun.
Yeah.
That movie. Dunkirk. After it was over, we went to there's a Buffalo Wild Wings there because we saw it out at Gwinnett thing.
Oh, nice.
There's a Buffalo Wild Wings
problems.
Hashtag ad.
And we went in there to have food after we saw it. And my son, who was probably 19 or 20 at the time, he was silent. He was stunned. That movie, I mean, he saw something that he didn't imagine. Because I think it was the scene where they're passing out towels, and then all of a sudden everybody gets flooded out of that one chamber, that one in that ship, and just everybody's dead. It just knocked him for a loop. I mean, and that's what movies are supposed to do. Just kind of leave you in a kind of a weird state. Those are the best movies, whether they're happy movies or sad movies or chronicle real events. You walk out and you still have that movie feeling sort of tingling all over your body.
Yeah.
Those are the great movies.
When I walked out of the film version of Les Miserables that came out a couple years ago, it was so.
No, you stayed to the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was so overwhelming.
When you say I walked out,
It was
most people
overwhelming.
It was emotionally overwhelming, and the
seen
reason they did, to me, it was
Yeah.
because they recorded the singing and all the crying and everything, and they didn't overdub it for the film. They didn't record it in the studio and put it in there. And when I walked
It was
out,
live on set.
I sat down in my car, and I wasn't sad or anything. I was just like
No, it's just still with
sobbing
you.
and emotional. I was like, oh,
It's still with you.
Yeah.
It's still with you. I mean, that's what they're dreams that aren't your dreams, but they're dream-like, and you can get connected to them the same way, even though they're quite off their
Same
faults.
thing with Hustlers, man. I walked out of there yesterday.
yeah.
And I couldn't drive
First
anywhere.
thing I did was
You couldn't wait to grab that pole and take your clothes off.
That's
All
right. I jumped on a pole.
I want to be Cardi B, man.
This new
Hustlers, actually, we kind of painted it like it had an awful. It came in second, but it opened with $33 million.
It got good reviews, I think.
Did it?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was.
What do reviews matter anymore? Look at the tomato meter thing and reviews.
It's in the 80s.
For which? Because
For
what was the
Hustlers.
other one? What was the other one that somebody was telling me about that's going the other way on? Somebody told
I
me.
said that Nanette, which was that comedian.
No, you told me that, but somebody told me something today. Jared, was it you?
Hustlers was having something like that where the tomato meter was high and then the audience score was low.
Yeah, the audience score is low.
Yeah, but
the
it's
critics
in the 70s or 80s.
63 compared to like 100% from the critics.
I'll pull it up.
Which makes me believe that J-Lo is somehow empowered.
She's very
That's all the critics need. I saw a strong female lead. I didn't even stay for the rest. I saw that she was a strong female, and I went out and wrote my review. This is wonderful. I hope all of our daughters see this.
If you want to put yourself in a great mood after watching a movie, watch the latest Lars von Trier movie that came out last year. The house that Jack built, where Matt Dillon is this serial killer. And
I saw the trailer.
It's so brutal.
He's a weird dude.
It's brutal, but there's so much.
He's a great filmmaker.
Oh, there's so much art in
just,
what he does about when he's, like there's a hunting scene, and then he explains. They have all these images of trophy hunters celebrating with stuff, and it's like, what he's basically saying is, it's fine for us to go out and kill all these animals, but the moment you start shooting human beings, people have a problem with it.
Yeah, people do have a problem with it.
It's kind of crazy.
So the truth is, bears have trouble with you shooting bears too. They just don't have sheriffs, and if they did, then they'd come get you and put you in jail.
So Hustlers has an 87% from the critics, a 68% audience
There's
score.
a little bit of a gap there.
I heard it was
There's
fun.
some stats
not,
for you.
Not quite what some of like the Star Trek Discovery is like 95% critics and like 22%
That's
audience.
Nanette.
Do you know?
Nanette, that's like the lecture.
Yeah,
What is
100%.
Nanette.
It's
Yeah.
that comedian.
Nanette.
What's her name?
I can't remember her
Hannah
name.
Gadsby.
Yeah.
100% Rotten Tomatoes by critics.
Because we need this.
27% by audience.
Because the audience doesn't understand that they need to hear this message.
I understand.
Dave
The
Chappelle.
critics went to college,
The Dave Chappelle Sticks and Stones special on Netflix, one that just came out, 31% tomato meter, 99% audience.
Yeah, because the
I
critics
just watched the
don't.
beginning of that.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, I loved it.
Hilarious.
I just didn't finish the very end.
I watched them all a couple of weeks ago. I had an evening of nothing but Dave Chappelle specials.
You went back into the Chappelle
so
time
good.
warp.
So good.
He's so
It was
funny.
nice to hear someone talk about being afraid, but then just doing it anyway. That was kind of nice.
Yeah, well, I mean, like
He's good. He ropes you in and then he just lets it all go.
Well, I like
Yeah,
that.
it's
I
good.
like that he has that way. He knows how to. He'll start off by doing a little bit of the pandering thing to the
Right.
audience to bring them in.
He's like,
and then
forget it.
And then,
We'll do it.
basically, what he'll do is, well, if you think that's true, on the abortion
Yes.
thing was one of the best ones.
Yeah.
So.
Bill Burr did that in his new special, but the first 10 minutes are problematic.
Well, yeah.
He had to get all of his white male angst out.
Yeah. None of this matters, by the way. It doesn't matter what these critics think or say, or
Nope,
it
they sure don't.
absolutely does not matter.
It never did when we were younger. When we were younger, we had movie critics, TV critics,
and there were some
music
you
critics.
liked, and you didn't. Some you didn't, right?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, did you consult your Leonard Maltin book every time?
But there were 8,000 of them with blogs.
Yeah.
You want to hear one of the Sticks and Stones reviews here from one of the critics?
who
He's punching down. I know. I know they're going to say he's punching down.
Sticks and Stones registers as a temper tantrum, the product of a man who wants it all: money, fame, influence, without much having to answer to anyone.
Was that the Pace magazine?
And the thing is,
Hang on,
go from the point of view of who the hell does this writer think? Who does this writer think he is? That Dave Chappelle needs to answer to him.
Right.
What college campus did this guy graduate from? Where that was put in his head that you go out there and artists now have to answer to you and your idea of what should and shouldn't be said from the stage.
No.
Where did they get that? What college? I know it was a college campus. I just don't, in this case, know which particular one.
Her name is Hannah Gagoris from The Atlantic.
Oh, The Atlantic.
Hannah.
That used to be a good magazine.
A lot of them were. Not anymore.
Well, they're all just chasing millennial
hate
clicks
everything.
now. I don't hate. You know what? I don't hate it. I don't. It doesn't even put me in a negative mood. It just makes me say it doesn't matter. Just because everyone else has fallen for the idea, if corporations are going to twist themselves into knots to please 15 people on social media, I'm not going to get angry about that. I know the truth of the world. I know the way of the world. I know how the world is. Most people are pretty good. Some people are awful, and then there's got some in between people. On some days they're good, some days they're awful. We all have it in us. We all have good and bad inside of us, and it's our choices that we make as to what kind of people we want to be. We're all animals on the inside, so you have to choose to be civilized, especially if you're a man.
Or
You
a
have to
woman.
Or a woman.
Or a woman.
I went to my first NFL game last night in a long, long time.
Yeah, how'd it go?
And I've been going to
How much did the Eagles fans own that stadium?
Oh, no, they really didn't.
Okay.
They really didn't.
All
There
right.
was a lot of noise from Falcons fans.
Okay.
But what cracked me up and what's different about NFL to MLS is when you're walking in, number one, there's much more of a mass of people at the last minute.
Yeah.
Like 20 minutes before the game. But the amount of smack talk that's going on between dudes in green and red jerseys.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's hilarious to stand back and watch that happen.
Yeah, I tell you something, Mike.
But they were all right. They were going at it, and they were sometimes screaming at each other. But at the end of the day, they were all in it together.
Yeah.
Like
you know what
they had a different opinion about something, but everybody was on the same page.
I've been to Falcons games where I'm rooting for the Falcons, and I went to a Bills-Falcons game a couple of years ago that I was rooting for the Bills. I was really struck, and sometimes I'll cry watching commercials or something. It's weird. At a funeral, I'm stone-faced.
Yeah.
Funeral, I'm stone-faced, but I'll be watching a Tide commercial or something, or one of those Publix,
my clothes isn't clean
or
enough.
the Apple Christmas commercial or something, and I'll start crying. But what I noticed was, okay, so I was there. I was a Bills fan, Falcons fans, but then like when they honor a veteran or something in the middle of the field, everybody has the same response. And it like brings tears to my eyes.
Same thing
it's
last
like
night.
You realize that this is superficial. This is all, that you like that team, I like this team, but then there's this fundamental thing that we all agree upon, and it moves me. I don't know if I'm gullible, it does move me when you see, okay, trash talk, and then there's a veteran being honored on the field, and everybody responds the same way. Like, I feel it right now, even.
Yeah.
Maybe because we see so little of it now, of stuff that everybody can sort of agree on.
There were two honored last night. One was a guy who he made a promise to his wife. If she beat cancer, he would join the military. She beat cancer, he joined the military. Everything's good.
Yeah.
The second one was a guy, and you knew it was a bad ending because they put the dates of his life up there, of his service, before, as they were talking about it. But that really... Man, oh man, you're right. Everybody stood up for that second guy. Everybody got on their feet and clapped and cheered. And it was
and it's just nice to know that there are things that we can still touch together no matter what. And I know rooting for teams isn't politics, but just the way that everything is so 50-50 now, it's nice to know that there's a few things.
Yeah,
that we can. At least,
it was that game went down to the wire last night.
It shouldn't have gone down to the wire.
But whatever, it went down to the wire, and even walking out in the last 2 minutes. Watching it on the TVs, people were just losing their minds, but backwards and forwards of emotion. It was great.
You have to. NFL games are hard to win, and you have to just accept winning them.
Oh man,
there's nothing worse than the person whose team wins the game. Wasn't good enough for me. Well, you think they don't know what you know? Their job is to go back and try to get better. The Bills won 2 in a row. There were mistakes in each game. They got to go back.
Even if the Falcons had lost that in the last 3 minutes last night. Right. Both me and my friend said, that was a great game. That was a great game, win or lose.
I would have been down on Matt Ryan for throwing those interceptions. You okay, Matt? You
gonna? Yeah, Matt, that one in the end zone was bad.
The one in the end zone was bad. The other one, the other one, I don't think was his fault. The other one, his arm got hit.
Oh, Matt, he can't run, can he?
Speaking of quarterbacks, too,
he's not a runner.
Drew Brees out for 6 weeks, and Ben Roethlisberger just announced he's out for the season.
Wow. What happened to Big Ben?
Steelers are going to suck.
I didn't see any games. I was at Music Midtown.
Meanwhile, New England Patriots, everyone's just fine and dandy.
Oh, man.
They have no injuries anywhere to anybody, and they will conquer the world. I really think that Bill Belichick and Tom Brady this time around, they know they only have a couple laps left, and I think it's just about stone-cold humiliation now. They're just going to pound everyone into the ground.
The first 2 quarters of that game yesterday, I was texting somebody let's just give them the trophy now. Let's just give them the Super Bowl because this is perfect football.
Remember, it's just this year. You won't forget us. I know age is going to get us sooner or later, but we're just going to pound you. You'll be feeling this in 15 years. I mean, without injury, there's no stopping that train.
No.
How does that?
Kansas City looks pretty good.
Well, Kansas City looks pretty good, but
they're not there. They're not.
They're not here. They're not there.
They don't have defense.
The Patriots look better than they've ever looked.
Yeah, and Tom Brady is Benjamin Button. At the post, he's at the press conferences after the games. He looks like he's 24.
He looks better than he did when he was drafted.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch that guy walk past you on the street, there's no way you go, he's 42. You wouldn't believe somebody told you he was 36.
He's like the Fred Blankenship of football.
He really is. Yeah. Oh no, sorry.
Come on.
There we go.
You should do that for Tom Brady.
Did you wish a belated birthday to Mr. Blankenship?
I did. Were you not here on Friday?
Of course I was here on Friday.
I'm saying his birthday.
He was in the hallway. I said happy belated birthday to him earlier this morning.
Jared.
Did you not say that?
I didn't see him. I was in here.
You just don't
I don't always see Fred Blankenship.
A good caricature of Fred and Jared having a conversation would be Jared 6 inches tall and Fred the big giant of broadcasting.
Yes.
Hey,
Yeah.
Mr. Blankenship, let me play the birthday.
He's just like pulling on his.
I'm down here. I'm down here.
He's pulling on his cuffs, his pant cuffs.
If you ever need a producer or someone to go pick up your nice suits and socks, I'm here for you.
Hey, Fred is a nice guy.
Hey.
No, I'm not saying he's not. I'm just like,
So for the Saints, is the solution Bridgewater for the next 6 weeks or Taysom Hill?
I think they'll probably stick with Bridgewater. I just went in last
They
night.
keep saying Taysom Hill's the next Steve,
Well,
whatever.
All right, Young.
Yes.
Well, we'll see. It certainly helps Atlanta.
Absolutely.
big old cheer in Mercedes-Benz when they
feel
showed
like
that result
I
last
wouldn't be
night.
surprised if we heard more from Carson Wentz. He was playing because he does not want to be known as the guy who can't stay out there. Those ribs were rocked last night.
Mad props to the Falcons defense for getting to the quarterback and also the cornerbacks and the safeties. Ricardo Allen just looked
he was amazing.
back
Oh
there.
yeah, that.
I have a lot of hope. If the Falcons defense plays like that, we're going to be in every single game.
Dan Quinn was embarrassed last week because he took over the he fired everybody and took over the defensive calling. And last week was the first game that looked bad. So it was good to see him be able to do it.
Yeah.
And also the Bills are 2-0. We play the Bengals next week at home. Hopefully we can win that one. That when New England comes into town, we can lose that one and be 3-1. Not too bad. I was going to say I don't really like to go to opposing stadiums. My family does, and they want me to go to Tennessee for the Titans game in a couple of weeks. I don't think I want to go.
Why not?
I don't like
Bills
Go see your team.
I don't like being at other people's stadiums. I don't.
Don't wear any.
I'm not going to get beat up because I
You're not gonna
root
get
for
beat
the
up.
wrong laundry.
You're not going to get beat
the
up.
wrong laundry.
You just don't want to go there and then come back and go to work Monday.
Well, there's that as well.
Well, do it, Jared.
No, I'm not taking Monday off.
Yeah.
I'm not taking Monday
No,
off.
just come in
I'm here for
half-assed.
the people. Yeah. I'm not going to come in and do a half-ass job.
How
like
far of
Jerry.
a drive is Tennessee?
What?
How far is it to drive
It's
to
only,
Tennessee?
it's only about 4 hours.
It's easy.
To Nashville.
Yeah.
Nashville's easy.
Easy, Jared says.
Yeah, many good bachelor parties in Nashville.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And we go on.
All of the it's funny. Every bachelor party and bachelorette is either in Nashville, Asheville, or New Orleans. Those three always.
Well, New Orleans is the place to go if you want to die.
Oh, yeah, you want to get crazy.
One last fling before the ring.
Yeah, my New Orleans partying days are behind
Get
me.
robbed before you stop.
I just don't. I just
You
don't
can hang
think,
on Frenchman.
I don't think Frenchman.
Frenchman Street's way better than Bourbon Street.
Really?
French Quarter, you mean?
Frenchman Street. It's out of the quarter.
Oh, well, this guy goes.
He's
straight.
so
He goes
well
straight.
traveled, isn't he?
He doesn't. I don't know if I could do that anymore.
I think you'd be fine.
I drink a half a hurricane. I'm like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
Let's go. I can't listen to any more bands and people are playing washing machine instruments.
Yeah.
And I can't. There's no more gumbo to throw
There's
up.
as you get older, you lose the protein in your
Maybe,
body
yeah.
that helps you. You do that
Yeah.
helps you recover and digest or absorb the
Yeah.
alcohol properly.
I don't have
and
a
that's why
second
your
wind.
hangovers get worse and worse.
I don't have a second wind. I just don't think I could. I couldn't handle just
Yeah.
partying
Well, you
like
just
that.
power nap.
Where? On the street?
Yeah, wherever.
Some
Frenchman
people
Street.
do.
I stayed at a hotel.
There's a great dumpster I sleep in.
Stayed at a hotel in the French Quarter once. Actually, that was quite a.
Yeah, I think there's Airbnb dumpsters in New Orleans.
Yeah, just jump inside.
Rent them by the hour.
Yeah. We got to go do stuff today, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we got to do stuff
You
today.
got to do.
Advertiser stuff.
Client stuff.
Yeah.
Pimple cream.
Yeah, the pimple cream people.
Yeah.
I got to go talk to the pimple cream people.
The Zit Men.
I don't have.
You're going to be an interesting
Or
sell
women.
with this one because you.
Hey,
you
no,
were- I'm not spoiling anything.
Viagra.
Interesting stuff.
I don't need Viagra
Is there a
yet.
secret going on in your house, Jerry?
There's not a secret going on.
Not in my house.
I hope my husband can last for 90 minutes.
Hey.
Everybody wants that.
Some guys are
But
lasting
no
up to
more
7
than
days.
4 hours.
Oh, please.
Is this whispery Eilish?
Yeah.
Oh, Billy Whisperish. Let's layer more vocals on that one. Yeah.
This could bring us out.
I don't immediately hate it. I have to
No,
say,
it is
there's
interesting.
There's a lot of sameness to one song to another, but
Yeah, I'm not hating either.
I
really.
do like the sing-songy dreaminess, but I
Yeah.
think I get tired of it after about 20 minutes. And then her whole attitude. You know, Billie Eilish, you know what her attitude is, English Nick? She doesn't care what you think.
No.
She doesn't care.
17. Why
She
should
doesn't care what you think.
I don't care what you think.
You all right, Billy?
English Nick is my babe.
Oh.
What's that?
Oh, Billy.
Let me hear you.
English Nick is
He's so what?
You never find out what she's talking about.
So what?
He's got a big.
Oh, does he? Oh, wow.
Yes,
Yeah,
oh,
that's
nice.
well represented.
Steady.
Way to go, Ivan. All right. It's time for us to go. And that we
She's
are
finally
gonna-
asleep, Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish. No encore tonight.
One more song, John.
Yeah, brutally honest Billy is what I like to call it.
You know, it says right on the back of the ticket, her concerts are BYOP. Bring your own
Bring your
pillow.
own pillow.
All right, we're done. We're out of here. Goodbye.
All right, dude. Go trip over a knife.
She's sound asleep.
All right, that's good.
She wore herself out in Music Midtown yesterday.
There's a
Hey,
Rolling
Billy,
Stones
Travis
song.
Travis
Ends like
Scott is
that.
coming on. Travis Scott's coming on.
Say that.